Recording in progress.
Are we early?
We're not live yet.
Okay, we have 3 more minutes on my clock.
Oh, 3? I have 1 minute here.
Oh, you have 1 more minute?
3 minutes? No. This one looks like. Okay, so we had technical difficulties earlier where we got our Zoom working. And now I'm getting an error message about the live streaming.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see.
That's the YouTube.
This is the YouTube live streaming. Oh.
It worked earlier.
This was a necessary privilege. That's what I usually do, I just to go live.
She was doing it like, I could hear a little early. Yeah. And she said everything looked good at that point, so I assume she was starting it.
Are we live on Zoom right now?
Not live on YouTube, we're on Zoom.
Okay. Yeah, we're just having some technical difficulties going live on YouTube, so we're just trying to figure that out. And then we'll start the meeting.
Just gonna allow it to do all that. Let's see what that does. Let's try. It's definitely easy. Because that's how we're logged in the Zoom. It's how it's always
Check if it's working.
This was our issue earlier. We had permission access where we have a meeting person going in.
West Windsor Council.
Yeah, I don't see it. It's,
He logs into her, yeah, and Gay does hers. We could use this one, but I'm not sure how long it's gonna record.
it's not live on YouTube.
No, I don't have it either.
What about the Zoom? Are we live on Zoom though?
On Zoom.
Okay.
No, Zoom is good. It's not letting me put this.
On the right hand side. The left hand side. You see that?
Yeah, can we use?
Yes, so now we are logged into Zoom, that's how we do it, right? Okay, login, you are logging.
Yeah, I am on it again.
Yeah.
Hello, how are you?
Yeah. What's that? See how it's. On extreme. It's just really bonus. He doesn't go. He doesn't.
Sam doesn't do the line. No, what is this is live.
This is Zoom.
This is
That's,
Zoom.
we have to go live on, YouTube for live.
This is a live connection.
Live to YouTube. You never go live to YouTube.
He doesn't do.
No, Sam doesn't.
But it's getting recorded, right?
We may need to reach out to a high school student.
Yeah. So we're just going to do this. Okay, so we won't have the.
We'll put the video on YouTube.
Yeah, maybe we can upload it or use this video.
And we'll have okay, Sam will run it. If anybody wants to watch live, they can come and Zoom and watch.
Yeah. Yes. It's one of
All right, let's get started. All right, sorry, everyone. Some technical difficulties here. Our YouTube live is not working. We do have our Zoom live on. So if anybody is trying to watch on YouTube, unfortunately, YouTube is down right now. Zoom link is live and is being recorded, and the video would be available afterwards to watch as well. Allison called, roll call, please.
roll call. Okay, Gawas,
Here.
Gevers. Here. Mandel,
Here.
Stevens.
Here.
And are we adequately noticed?
Yes, we've been adequately noticed. This meeting was properly given and transmitted to the Times and the Princeton Packet, filed with the clerk of the municipality and posted in the West Windsor Township Municipal Building on January 7th, 2022.
All right. I request everyone to please rise for salute to the flag. All right, again, I'm sorry we had to delay the meeting a little bit because of some technical difficulties on YouTube Live. We are on with the Board of Health meeting, and at this time, the public comment is open for Board of Health meeting only. So if there's anybody here in the audience who would like to make any comments for Board of Health. Do we have anybody online?
Do we have anyone online that would like to make a public comment for the Board of Health meeting? please use the raise your hand feature. Okay, I don't see anybody online.
All right, seeing none, public comment is now closed. Approval of minutes. Do I have motion to approve the minutes from Board of Health meeting August 8th?
So moved.
Second.
Got that?
Okay, Gevers,
Yes.
Mandel,
Yes,
Stevens,
Yes.
Gauss.
Yes. Um, do we have any update from administration on Board of Health? Or can I move on to Jill? Jill, you have the.
Hi, Jill Swanson, Health Officer. I will start with the discussion of the smoking ordinance that we had started at the last Board of Health meeting.
Yeah, can you just move that closer? Thank you.
How's that?
That's perfect. Thank you.
Okay. So after our previous Board of Health meeting, we had several comments that were taken into consideration and the proposed ordinance. And I'll just note that this ordinance was a recommendation from several community members who were living in multifamily dwellings within the township, and asked us at the health department to look at some similar ordinances throughout the state and in neighboring states and consider something. So we did that, adapted it for West Windsor, discussed it at the previous Board of Health meeting, and there were some recommendations from the Board of Health Council. And those were to include cannabis in the definition of smoking, where previously it referred to materials other than tobacco. So those definitions were all, there's several points where it's defined in the ordinance, and they were all adjusted to include the word cannabis. Also, for the policy requirements for multifamily dwelling, there was a recommendation to include an exemption for medical necessity for individuals who meet certain conditions residing in those units. So that is a condition, a requirement under this proposal that each policy have that provision included. And that's under 140.17E3. There was also a recommendation to clarify the enforcement section. And we did that by including a section under 140.18D that allowed for immediate summonses to be issued in cases where a property management failed to provide notice of the policy to tenants or owners within the unit. And secondly, under 18C, we clarified the notice of violation shall stipulate 7 to 60 days to abate any violations under the ordinance. Let's see, there was a further recommendation to look at outdoor smoking impacts on homes. And under 140.60D2, there's a provision for retailers of tobacco and smoking products. And we included a 25-foot separation distance from any outdoor area associated with those types of businesses from any dwellings. And in addition, to include parking garages that may be part of a complex, and that's been included. And other than that, we went through and I had a few readers go through and question anything where there was not clarity in the way the wording was phrased. And so we made some minor changes. The intent was the same, but to make it clear in the readers, so there wasn't misinterpretations.
can I have a question on the violation and penalties section?
Yes.
It says, any person who is found in violation of provisions of this article shall pay a fine, etc.
Too loud.
Is that loud?
Yeah.
I'll back up. I'm either can't be heard or And I'm finding that just a little confusing in that I assume this ordinance is meant for the management or owners of, these facilities. And is that a personal fine or are we fining companies that are doing this?
So that's fairly consistent wording in codes, and person is typically defined as an organization, a corporation. I'm not sure if we included that definition in this section of the code, but we could certainly find other examples in our code where it's spelled out.
Yeah, I'm just trying to
Yeah,
avoid that anyone interprets this, that if somebody, if say they have a no smoking rule, that if somebody does smoke, I assume that's not a matter that they call the police and the police are going to police that. I think we say in here that that's up to the management. And I wouldn't want a confusion. Somehow I don't want a confusion that, you know, if I see my neighbor smoking, I'm calling the cops on them type of thing. I'd want it to be pretty obvious that this fine is for violating the ordinance of not having a set of rules and not for whatever that set of rules are.
And that's exactly right. We could certainly
Mm.
add the definition of person to, that is also repeated in other sections of the code
yeah, I
under
think,
definitions.
yeah, I think that would be helpful.
Sure.
If it's the landlord or the management company or, you know, whatever the definition would be, who would be imposing the violations or the policies. The management is supposed to have the policy. That's what we're
Exactly.
asking for.
So under the local ordinances on the last page, the fines seem to be a little more like those that would be charged to an individual from $5 to $500.
Right.
You know, for smoking on school district property, smoking on public property. So those seem to be the individual fines.
Right, they're directed to an individual, correct.
Which page you want?
Very last page,
This,
under local.
this one right
ordinances.
here.
Local ordinances.
So I'm not, so
You
the
see
very
after
last,
multiple dwelling policy, the rest of them all seem to be individual.
Yeah, these are just the summary of the ordinance.
There's noise violations, et cetera, and smoking.
right, that's a summary that I had provided to council, so you can compare different types of fine. That was one of the requests that came in during our last meeting. That's not part of the ordinance, but it gives you a general idea of what the fines are for different sections of the code. And you'll notice the most frequent citations are 1-3 and 1-4. 1-3 is a general penalty under the township ordinances, and that's no greater than 2,000. And under the Board of Health penalty, so for Board of Health ordinance, it's $500 to $500. And most of those fines are directed specifically towards an individual.
But something like further down here where it says housing code violations, that would usually be for the management. I would assume. If it was multiple housings. So
Sure.
whatever type of wording would be used for describing them, I assume would be
Well,
good for this.
But we are over here, it says no greater than 2,000 if housing code violations. Whereas under 140-19A, its first fine is $1,000, 1,000, second is 2,500. And the third and subsequent violations are 5,000 each. So that is for the management.
Right, and that's a recommendation.
Okay.
Yep.
I did check under 140-1, you know, about the school district and smoking policy. So I did talk to Dr. Adderhold about that. He did receive a copy and told me that they reviewed it and that they were didn't have any objection to the language that's in here.
Correct. And just to clarify, that section, the fine, we did not change.
Okay.
So these fines we're talking about were for the multi-dwelling policy section.
Right.
The other thing that's important to note, when you look at 140-14, the fines for sale of illegal electronic smoking devices, it's 250, 500, and, or 1,000, but there's also a provision that the license can be revoked. And that's similar for illegal sale of tobacco under the state law. So that's a significant penalty if you're talking about revoking a license.
Okay. All right.
So the owners of the multiple dwelling units, we're not telling them what the policy should, how it should read. We're saying you have to have a policy, but then it's up to them to decide what that policy will be in, in coordination or compliance with this ordinance. should
So
it
it's
get passed.
twofold, and it's that they must have a policy. We did put some provisions, but the policy must include certain spaces, but we're not telling them that they must say that X
It-
percent of the property is smoke-free. So they're developing their policy based on their community. But there's also a requirement to provide notification. So not only do they have to have the policy, but they have to tell a tenant or a prospective owner before they purchase or enter into an agreement that this is what their policy is. And that's an important part of this. The purpose of this is so individuals can be informed when they're moving into a complex about that smoking policy. Is it smoke-free? Will they be allowed to smoke? Or on the other hand, will their children be protected from neighbors who smoke?
So when it becomes easier when a new tenant is coming in or a new housing development is coming in to start with the new policy, how does it work with an existing multiple dwelling housing complex per se? Are we asking the management to write the policy and then distribute the policy among their current
We are,
tenants?
and we're not prescribing how they approach existing owners of property. So say in a condo complex, that would be something that individual complex board of homeowners association would have to decide how they're going to go about existing owners.
Okay.
And there are some samples from the HUD, or the Housing and Urban Development. They did mandate smoke-free policies in their structures. So there are transitional ways they went around about doing that. So there's some sample approaches. If someone does want to, if a complex decides they want to go 100% smoke-free, how to transition that in. And it may take a course of years to do it. You may not be able to say by, 30 days from now, this will be a smoke-free property, but there certainly are examples of approaches out there.
Okay.
For an apartment though, which there's a lease, then basically that rule is when the lease is up and they get a new lease, correct?
Correct. And there is a provision in here that if someone's under a current lease, that the smoke-free policy would not come into the smoking policy will not come into effect during that term of the lease until that lease renews.
And I assume there's nothing stopping them from having a smoke-free building or one building where people can smoke and not another, as long as it's all in the leases and all laid out for them.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Thank you for taking the time to make all the suggestions and updating the ordinance. The one suggestion that we had was if we could include the definition of any person under 14019A. I think that would be helpful. We are looking to introduce this at the next business meeting on November 28th. So if we can just get that update in before we do that.
Sure.
Thank you. Jill, do we have any other updates on?
I have a few quick announcements and a brief update. So we do have a rabies clinic coming up on November 21st. It's 4:30 to 6:30 at Princeton Junction Firehouse at 245 Clarksville Road. We also have a rabies clinic in December 6th at Heightstown First Aid Squad, 4:30 to 6. And on Tuesday, January 10th at Robbinsville Public Works, 4:30 to 6:30 at 56 Robbinsville Allentown Road. Currently, I believe we have signups posted for the 21st clinic, and the second two will be posted on the website in the coming weeks.
Okay.
Are those clinics only for residents or general public?
Yes,
Yeah.
we encourage residents of our three towns to attend, but we don't turn anybody away from the rabies clinics. Yeah,
Are those both COVID and influenza?
These are rabies clinic.
Oh, this is still rabies.
right, these were for pets,
Okay.
for so, for COVID clinics, we do have clinics tomorrow, for November 15th, 16th, and 17th. And good and bad news, they're booked, so they're full. We have one coming up on December 1st at Bethheim, 2 to 3, and that's infant and toddler and boosters. And there's sign up on our website. December 7th at the Board of Ed, we have 4 to 6 p.m. and there's still openings there. And our Board of Ed site tends to be well attended and fills up quickly. So if you're looking for a COVID booster at that site, I would sign up soon. Mercer County is also offering a clinic, a test to treat and vaccination clinic. So if anyone's symptomatic, they can be tested and treated the same day. That's November 17th and December 1st at 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Cure Arena, Gate A, and that's 81 Hamilton Avenue in Trenton. So I would encourage you, if you are symptomatic, that is a great resource to take advantage of. In addition, if those dates don't work for you, there are vaccines available both for flu and for COVID everywhere. The state website, CDC, both have vaccine finders for flu and for COVID. So if our clinics aren't convenient, please go on to those sites and find a clinic that is convenient.
I know I got a flu shot at Wegmans and you didn't have to have an appointment. It was very, very easy to show them your ID, your insurance card, and you're in and out of there in about 20 minutes.
Right, exactly.
It was kind of nice.
Yeah, it is convenient. Let's see. Just a quick update on respiratory illness. We are seeing, similar to other parts of the country, New Jersey is reporting an unseasonably early increase in respiratory viruses. And that's a combination of flu, rhinoviruses, enterovirus, RSV, and our background of COVID-19. In some people, especially children, hospitalizations have resulted. There is a concern that when we have multiple viruses circulating and we're entering our peak season, there is concern that we keep our hospital wards functioning. So those individuals that do need more intensive treatment do have those resources. Most of us, healthy adults, healthy children, will have a mild to moderate illness and not need hospitalization, but there are individuals who are higher at risk, and we want to keep those facilities open and available. So vaccination and looking at your early symptoms and seeking some testing when those early onset symptoms come in, and staying away from the public, staying home when you're sick is important this time of year. So,
Yeah, I think we are seeing a lot of cases in the schools as well right now with flu season is
yes, and
really
yeah.
rising.
yes, and they're sending out reminders, those preventative practices we've been preaching for the last couple of years. Everyone's been hearing, cover your coughs, wash your hands, stay home when you're sick, stay away from sick people. Sanitizing, frequently touch surfaces. Those are all still the key messages that are being circulated to the children and parents.
Yeah.
Any questions?
Does anybody have any questions for Jill?
No.
No? Thank you for the update, Jill. Thanks for all the
Thank
good
you.
work
Thank you.
you and your department is doing.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. If there's no other questions for Jill, I want to have a motion to adjourn the Board of Health meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Oh, we
Aye.
want to check for any public comment, any last public.
We already had the public comment. Yep.
We should do one for Board of Health.
There's a second one at the end.
There's another public comment. at the end.
Public comment on.
It's two on Board of Health.
Is it? It's not.
Huh?
on my- Okay, anyway, before we adjourn the meeting, any further public comments on Board of Health? Anybody online?
Anybody online that wants to raise their hand for a public comment?
Sir? Can you please just for the Board of
Yeah,
Health?
just the Board of Health, yeah.
And I have no one online.
All right, so again, motion to adjourn Board of Health meeting,
So move.
Second.
all in
Second.
favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you, Jill. All right, now we move on to our business meeting. We already had our call to order. The business meeting was adequately noticed.
Yes, we were adequately noticed. Proper notification was given and transmitted to the Times and the Princeton Packet, filed with the clerk of the municipality and posted in the West Windsor Township Municipal Building on January 7th, 2022.
Thank you. We already had the salute to the flag. We don't have anything under ceremonial matters. All right, all right, we move on to the first opportunity for public comments. Each participant is requested to please give his or her name and address prior to making their comments, which will be limited to 3 minutes. Public comments period is 30 minutes. This public comment period is for any public comment other than any public hearings. We do have one public hearing today. So do we have a list of public who want to speak?
Okay, anyone on Zoom who would like to give public comment, please use the raise your hand feature. Okay, I do see someone online.
Do we have someone online?
Okay, I have 2 people. I'm going to unmute the first person I saw first.
Okay, and Allison, did you get the list from the desk over there where people,
Yes.
public has signed
Yep.
in?
Mhm,
So we
and
can
we'll
read their
have
names.
the public in person give their comments after Zoom. Okay, I'm going to unmute the first person.
Hello.
Yep, we can hear you. Go ahead and give your name and address for the record.
Hi there. This is Stacy Fox, 29 Berrien Avenue. And good to see you, Anthony Borelli. I'm sorry I missed you. Glad you're here. And I was trying to raise my hand. I didn't get to the button in time before for Board of Health. And I just wanted to say that I would love for our Board of Health to take as much interest in diesel fumes as it's taking in secondhand smoke. Thank you.
Thanks, Stacy.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yep, we can hear you. Go ahead and please state your name and address.
My name is John Hinsdale. My address is 38 Quaker Road in West Windsor. Am I allowed to comment now about the resolution relating to the warehouse thing to be sent to the county and state?
Yes, anything other than the hearing on the ordinance.
Okay, great. I just want to say this resolution to send to beseech the county and the state to attend to the approvals that are necessary to come from them for the warehouse thing, that there's something of an irony involved, because the urging is being done by Mayor Morante and Councilmember Mandel, both of whom are members of the planning board, who recently approved, as part of the planning board, approved the plan that has all these problems that the county and the state need to address. So there's something of an irony about asking someone else to help clean up the mess that you created. And also, I think it's very, very important that all the residents in town understand that the council approved an agreement with Atlantic Realty 2 years ago, in late November of 2020. That's 2 years ago. And in that agreement, the council authorized the 5.5 million guaranteed minimum square footage, and a guaranteed to the Atlantic Realty that the area would be rezoned for warehouse. So you have to understand, the store was given away 2 years ago in the form of these commitments, legal commitments in the settlement agreement by the council, by the 4 members of council sitting up there right now, Mandel, Gauss, Stevens, and Jeevers. And the store was given away then before any like traffic studies and flood studies and anything was done. They had basically just given away the store. And to me, that just means that if these 4 members of council, who of course are acting with the encouragement, if not direction of the mayor, they just don't give a rat's ass about you. They don't give a rat's ass about anybody in town. And so it's very important residents understand that, and that any beseeching of the council about the warehousing in the hopes that they'll cooperate or be sympathetic is a waste of time. There's 2 ways to fight it. Go to court, and I applaud the people who are doing that. And even better, vote out Mandel, Gauss, and Stevens next year when you have that opportunity, so that the mayor doesn't have a majority of stooges on the council to do his bidding. Those are the only 2 things to do. I think it's good to come to tonight and voice opposition just so they don't feel good about what they're doing. And that they know that this is not good for the town and that you're not going to get praise. But do understand the store was given away 2 years ago before any kind of studies to the developers, and the developers are the people in whose interest the council and the mayor are going to act always. The town residents are never going to act in your interest, okay? And if you think that they're on your side, the council and mayor are on your side, you're a chump. So just don't trust that they're going to do that, and make sure that they understand that you don't respect what they're doing, you don't appreciate what they're doing, and that what they're doing is harmful to the town. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Indo. Anybody else online that would like to speak? Please raise your hand and I will unmute you. Okay, I have another person online. Okay. Go ahead, can you hear me?
Yes, hello.
Okay,
My name
please state your
is
name and address.
My name is Daniel Weiss, 15 Canoe Brook Drive. I am a 30-year resident of West Windsor, as well as an elected member of the Mercer County Democratic Committee representing West Windsor District Number 5. I speak on behalf of myself and in the interests of my constituents here. I vehemently oppose Resolution 2022-R252. As a longstanding resident of West Windsor, it's embarrassing to see our township government waste valuable taxpayer dollars, and taxpayer time on amateurish and foolish resolutions as being presented by the mayor and council. The resolutions request for the county to restrict truck traffic on county roads, which by the very nature of being a county road is designated for commercial traffic as a way to keep the traffic away from local roads, is comical. Where do you suggest the county divert the additional 9,000 trucks a day that this monstrosity warehouse will generate? Furthermore, the planning board provision of 80 variances to the warehouse agreement, such that it is effectively overruling the zoning laws, is likely illegal. A recent case in Princeton overruled a similar situation where a planning board voted to override the zoning with numerous variances. The planning board was sued and lost. The planning board was chastised by the Mercer County Superior Court judge for, quote, transcending its variance authority. The conditions imposed by the West Windsor Planning Board for PB 2021-15, as stated in the resolution of memorialization for the application of Bridgepoint West Windsor LLC, is unacceptable, and I urge the council to vote no on the resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I see one more person on Zoom. Okay, go ahead. Can you hear me? Please state your name and address.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead. Name and
Okay.
address.
Hi, I'm Nilufer from 19 Zeelof Drive.
Go ahead.
And yep, I
Go ahead.
wanted to reiterate everything we've just heard from the residents and our county. I think a couple of things that I'm still struggling with about the warehouse application. One is, like someone mentioned, I think there is a resolution to try and ask the county to restrict traffic onto the residential roads in West Windsor. But isn't the county accountable for all the towns that belong to the county? And therefore, why would the county prefer West Windsor over, say, Lawrenceville or Princeton or any of the other neighboring towns that this warehouse project is going to get so much traffic? So what is the rationale that the town council is using to think that Mercer County has a preference for West Windsor and does not have a preference for the pain felt by the neighboring townships that actually don't even get any tax dollars from this deal? The second point I want to make is there was something about the resolution posted on West Windsor Beeps that speaks about 910, a waiver of 910 docks versus 147. And I tried to understand, there was some commentary in that resolution that said that the board did not have the expertise or the capacity to understand, to look at other options, and therefore a waiver was granted. And I can read it out specifically. I don't have the text in front of me right now. And I just don't understand why we didn't have capable planning board members that could actually question these kind of huge waivers that were positioned. And the third one is, it's funny and ironic that I'm listening to a town council meeting on the web, online. I do remember a town council meeting where members of the public were raising concerns about the warehouse, and there was filthy, degrading pictures and filthy language that was spoken. And there was a hacking. I believe it was the first hack ever in the West Windsor Town Council meeting. And I'm wondering what the investigation of that incident is, because very interestingly, the porn that was shown to us, including my son standing next to me, the filthy language that was used, it was interesting that all that happened during the public commentary, but nothing happened. It was perfectly clear when the mayor was making his address. I really want to understand what happened to that investigation, and if you can help us understand who the hacker was and what the intentions were.
Okay, that has been 3 minutes.
Okay. Do we have anybody else before we move on to
I
the
do.
audience?
I have
in-person
one other
audience?
person that has their hand up. So I'm going to unmute them now. Okay, you can go ahead and state your name and address.
My name is Miren Libano Albert. I live in 3 Trumbull Court. So I just forgive my English. I have a strong Spanish accent, but I'll keep it simple. I oppose this resolution. I have lived here 22 years. I travel up and down US Route 1 every day towards Plainsboro, and that's such an unsafe road already, and there is no way we can absorb hundreds of trucks per minute. And I also agree with what John Hinsdale say. I don't think Mr. Marate hears the residents. He only cares about the business. I live in Canal Point. And so we had a similar experience with him when he voted against the road diet here in Canal Point Boulevard. All the residents of Canal Point wanted the the raw diet, and he was one of 2 council people who voted against it. And that showed me that he really only cared about the businesses and not the residents. Yes, he says that he has acknowledged that was a mistake, but I actually think that reinforces the point that, you know, maybe he doesn't have the right judgment, because when all the residents of Canal Point say we need a road diet because the traffic is crazy, he should have heard the residents and just not insist in his point of view that it was not good for business. And that's all I want to say.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you very much. Okay, is there anybody else online that would like to make a public comment? Please raise your hand. Anybody else online? Okay, oh, seeing none.
Okay. Do we have anybody in the audience? Mr. Church?
Good evening, John Church, 11 Princeton Place. Madam President, I want to speak this evening about Resolution R-252. The problem is jurisdictional, it's not the content. This resolution is undoubtedly very well intentioned. I don't think anyone sitting here in this room wants to see heavy trucks on Clarksville Road going past the schools and the residences. That's not the point. The point is, I think we need to stay in our lane on this. We've got the 3 separate organizations or bodies involved here. We've got town council, which is elected, the planning board appointed by the mayor, and the zoning board, of which I'm a member, appointed by council. It's important that these 3 bodies not step on each other's toes. Now, if you would approve this resolution to support the conditions in the resolution of the planning board, you would be implicitly supporting the action of the planning board itself. And I know this is nitpicking, but I don't think that's your business to support any actions that the planning board takes or the zoning board. And likewise, they shouldn't support or oppose or make any comment about the actions that you take. So it's a matter of just be careful here. Don't step on the toes of the other bodies. So I suggest that because of this, you pull this resolution and not vote on it, because in my opinion, it's a conflict. You're not doing what you're entitled to do, and you should not debate or even vote on this resolution. It should be pulled as being non-jurisdictional. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Church.
Hi, John Mulcahy, 2 Hereford Drive. I understand the resolution tonight to try to block a petition to county to block truck traffic on county over here in Clarksville. While that sounds nice, hope it's possible, but it seems like wishful thinking for something that's beyond the control of the town council. I'd really like to see the town council take ownership of the things they can control. For example, the number of loading docks. The whole thing should not have been approved, Bridgepoint 8, but the granting of a waiver, and I was at the planning board meeting a week or 2 ago, and there was a comment like, oh, it's the only thing they asked for. There was no debate about that waiver of the 900 plus loading docks versus the 147 that would have been permitted. 147 is awful enough in a suburban town where people come here for the schools and the green space and enjoy peaceful living. To throw all that truck traffic to 147 loading docks would have been bad enough. To approve 6 times that amount it's going to lead to 6 times the amount of truck traffic and pollution, contaminants and carcinogens in the air. And to do that without even a debate, it strikes me as crazy. I think the planning board, the council, all the officials have overstepped their authority with this. any homeowner that wants to do a renovation in their home has to notify every impacted person within a certain parameter. And they have to take pictures. I have an inch thick file when I went through it, and others have the same. For a Bridgeport 8 application, who's impacted in the township? It's every single resident that lives on, near, or uses a road in West Windsor, which is every single person in town. There should have been a proper notification via certified mail as to, this application, this monstrosity of a project, and what it would mean. And that didn't happen. And I think that is overstepping of the township officials' authority in granting that. And I think that should be looked into further. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Reverend Dr. Ty Ross. I live at 5 Browning Court, Princeton Junction, New Jersey, with my wife, Dr. Lisa Granderson Ross, and my daughter, Irene. I extend to you greetings. It's good to be out again, to the mayor, to the members of the council, and to my fellow residents here in West Windsor. It's good to be out again. I stand to gain some clarification regarding a letter that I got from the engineering division here, township. It was signed by Mr. Abdul Kumsan, and it's regarding, and I'll just read a little bit from it, just so that we have some, we're on the same page of what is at stake here. And it's regarding the installation of a forced sanitary sewer main piping near my property. And the forced sanitary sewer main will run alongside the intersection of Edinburgh Road and New Village Road within an existing 50-foot wide landscape buffer easement. A 10-foot buffer boundary is needed for the pipe, so forth and so on. And about 100 square feet of your property will be needed. This was at least described as a proposal put together by ACT Engineering. It was contracted with the township. And my question is, I got this letter in August. And I reached out to Mr. Kumsan. We've had some phone conversations via voicemail. But my question is this a done deal? Has this been voted on? And if so, why did I get this in August? Also, I would like to know, is my property the only property that's going to be affected by this? Who else is involved? And it also indicates that a proper compensation or fair market rate for the property would be provided. And I'm very curious about how you determine what is fair market rate in the middle of a pandemic and in an economy that's been compromised and will continue to be compromised for the foreseeable future. So a question again, is this a done deal? Again, I'm all for improvements to our lovely city. And I do have copies of the letter, but is it necessary? Who else is being affected? And the land that the township proposes to seize for this project, who's responsible for the maintenance of that? One other thing that's important is that the proposed project will occur at the intersection of Edinburgh Road and New Village. And that's a pretty busy intersection. And it is also the entrance way into Waterford Estates by Calton, which was supposed to be, we see similar kinds of entryways into the subdivisions here, whether it's Crown Point, La Park, others. And I'm curious as to what this thing is going to look like. Is it going to be a monstrosity in the main entrance to a subdivision, which is these are all $1 million properties? So that's really my question. And is it decided? They indicated that if approved or it's scheduled to start in the fall, which is where we are now. So I'll take any responses regarding this from my seat.
I
Can I
think, Mayor,
see
you
the
will.
copy
Yes.
of the letter?
Absolutely.
You have letters?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the
I
address,
will read it and I'll respond at the end of public comment.
Very good. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you for your time.
Anybody else in the audience?
Linda Levy, 6 Lancashire Drive. And so again, looking at what's the number, R252. Similar comments to everybody else in terms of not agreeing with the warehouses overall, but looking at this resolution, it's talking about traffic safety in West Windsor and Mercer County. But you're really asking them to keep traffic out of West Windsor, not the rest of Mercer County. So essentially, you're making the traffic safety worse in other areas of Mercer County by making it better in West Windsor. Now, I'm all for, like everybody else, keeping the traffic off West Windsor roads, but I don't see how the council is going to agree to save West Windsor at the expense of other counties. So, you know, for that reason, I don't think this makes any sense. I can't imagine the county is going to see that it makes any sense. So it seems to me that it's more just almost for show to say, hey, we're trying to save West Windsor, but actually, I think it's unlikely to honestly go anywhere. So that's all I have to add, really.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Assemblyman Anthony Varelli, 23 Washington Crossing, Pennington Road, Pennington, New Jersey. And I am the 15th Legislative District, which represents the town of West Windsor. Presiding Officer Gowis, how are you? Mayor, council members. Traffic safety, when that comes to mind, I support traffic safety, not only in West Windsor and the 15th District, but throughout the state and the country. We all need to be on safe roads that can take the burden and the loads of the traffic that surround our communities. But I'm here to state my well-documented disapproval of the Bridgepoint 8 project. Without the Bridgepoint 8 project being approved, I don't think this resolution would be necessary. Okay, the number of deeply concerned constituents that have spoke up at different meetings and as well as this evening should signal to the board that the approval of this project goes against the will of the people at the end of the day. Ratables are important. Economic development is even more important. I built my career literally on building things, so I know about projects, good, bad, or indifferent. The Bridgepoint project will cause irreparable damage, not only to West Windsor, Lawrence Township, but the entire region, encompassing the 14th Legislative District, the 15th Legislative District, and the 16th Legislative District. And it's not just traffic. We have a serious issue with stormwater runoff here because of the amount of buildings we are putting up, okay? And I built things all my life, and there's some projects that I supported wholeheartedly, and there's some I held my nose when I had to support, but this one I can't see supporting, because what it sounds like is you're passing it off to somebody else, and like someone said, you're trying to come in and save the day. But the way I look at it realistically, you know, I'm not a lawyer, okay, so I can't speak that language. I can listen and understand it, but it's like putting 8 miles of traffic in a 2-mile lane. Something's got to give. So I hope you could revisit the Bridgepoint 8 project and take it from there. The traffic safety is important, but I think we're looking at this for the wrong reason. Thank you.
Mr. Varelli, welcome to West Windsor. I hope you stay till all public comments so I can respond. So thank you for coming.
Anybody else?
Good evening. My name is Terza Warman, 5 Stone Drive. I join in the pointed opposition to the Bridgepoint 8 project. And I know all of you. I know the mayor. I know the council people who are here tonight. You're smart. caring people. And I have the perfect out for you. Since the June 29th Planning Board, we have the formal ratification of the State Planning Commission guidance. And there are some very helpful points in there. And I know I've been in touch by email, but one of them is uncontested. And I have a report with me that a typical 1 million square foot warehouse has an average daily traffic rate of 1,740 trips. We're talking 5.5 million square feet. 1,740 times 5.5 is roughly 9,750. And you can shout out the number if I have it wrong, but this, I'm sorry?
9,570.
Thank you. 9,570 vehicles a day, trucks and cars. And many of us were at the Planning Commission guidance hearings that were held earlier in the year. That number was presented in the draft. It was not questioned by the many people who submitted comments, including other state agencies that participated, including DOT, including DEP. That number was not questioned. And it is now an official document posted on the State Planning Commission guidance. And I would argue to you tonight that that is a changed condition that allows the West Windsor Planning Board and Council to revisit what I think was a very ill-advised decision to approve Bridge Point 8. And before I sit down, I also want to cite to some excellent language. So that was at page 11 on the State Planning Commission report. At page 15, warehouse-related zoning should exclude areas and or avoid sites comprising state-regulated areas, including flood hazard areas, freshwater wetlands, riparian zones, transition areas, steep slopes. So it is within your power to hold your hand up and say, there are no other approvals yet from either the county or the state agencies. This document has been vetted, is on the State Planning Commission website. And let's take a breath and relook at what the Planning Board did before we go forward. Thank you very much.
Do we have anybody else? Can I just gauge how many people want to speak? Because I want to keep track of the time. Okay, go ahead.
So my name is Gabriela McCann. I live at 16 Galston Drive.
Half an hour, yeah.
Can
Can you just get a little closer? Thank you.
So Gabriela McCann, 16 Galston Drive. I been a resident of this township for a year, exactly a year in November. So I have some questions for you, Mr. Mayor. This past summer, I imagine this is something of a tradition that you send home to every resident a letter where you explain what taxes were about, what things have been happening in the township. I was a little surprised to see zero mention of the Bridge Point 8 project in that letter. And that makes me think of why a lot of my friends that already live in this township, they've been living here for a very long time. How come they have no knowledge of this project getting to the point of being approved in June? So I did a little digging and I look back at what happened during the pandemic when this whole thing was going on. And everyone says, oh, no one was at the meetings. You guys knew about it. This project was going on for a long time. And I realized that everything was very shushed and a lot of the meetings were canceled. So no surprise to me. So there's no mention of this project sent home to the residents, despite the fact that it's such a huge impact on them. That's one. Second, this has been done during the pandemic, where everyone was either too busy raising their children or trying to figure out how we deal with the pandemic. So it was perfect timing. So that was the one thing that I just wanted to point out. What was the other thing? The traffic study. So I've been following the meetings, either on Zoom or in person, and it seems to me, I don't have a lot of knowledge. It seems like a lot of people on the planning board. But it seems like the traffic study that was presented is insufficient and is not very accurate. Is there a way? So that was so just to review, the first question was why there was no mention of the project in the letter that was sent home to the residents. So I just want to make sure that we stay on track. 2, is there a way, or is it possible for the township to order a traffic study of their own to kind of compare it with the traffic study that was already presented to the planning board? Okay, so that was 2. And I agree with whomever said before that we're trying to keep traffic away from West Windsor. It's not going to happen. You guys already know that, right? All the other townships already are at the county level fighting this. And just, you know, with a little bit of information, you can see that. Lawrenceville and Princeton. So I don't think there is a way to keep traffic out of West Windsor. Now, what are we going to do about it? Because this whole thing, it's a monstrosity. Should have never been approved in the first place. There should be a lot of more public comment. Okay, so this is all I have to say. Thank you.
Good evening, Town Council and Mayor Marathi and Assemblyman Early. Thank you for coming. Safety, well-being, welfare of residents mentioned in this resolution that I think is a joke that you're trying to put forward to the county. And I think it's a joke for 3 reasons. One is December 2020, when you added the warehouses. If you really did not want the traffic and all the horrendous stuff that comes along with it, you would not have allowed that addition of the warehouse clause to proceed during those COVID times that we've spoken about. June 2022, when you voted, the mayor and 5 members of his planning board voted for the project. 2, including Alan Schechtel, whose statement, the only person to make a statement, by the way, vehemently argued against building the warehouse. You had a chance to vote no if you really wanted to do something about it. And then most recently, the memorialization meeting in November, maybe a week ago, you could have stopped it even then, but you chose not to. And I'm wondering, I worry why, if you really are interested in the safety, well-being, and welfare of the residents of West Windsor and the neighboring towns, you would actually choose to continue to proceed with this monstrosity that's coming our way. And the monstrosity that's coming our way will not only affect our safety, well-being, and welfare, but it'll affect our health, our lives, our property values. There was one thing I wanted to note also in the planning board meeting. This out-of-town developer with deep pockets, ready to build this mega warehouse costing, I don't know, millions and millions and millions of dollars, said that they would not be able to measure trees above the certain width that the planning board had asked for. And you folks acquiesced to that. They couldn't measure trees, but yet they're going to spend billions of dollars raising trees, potentially increasing flood hazards, cutting down our wetlands. And I think the planning board said, oh, that's okay. Please correct me if I'm wrong. As the assemblyman said, not only is this against the will of the people, and we'll never quite know because you never had a referendum, you never involved the township, you rushed the process through, you closed public comment early. The public comment period was always at the end of the meetings when people had to leave with their families. I was present for all of those times. You ignored the state site plan guidelines, which you knew were coming up. You ignored the PACT rules, that are not laws yet, but you're choosing to just flow along with whatever this developer has to ram through our towns. And this affects us in a way that I just can't understand why anyone would agree to that. This resolution seems like you're punting the responsibility for the safety, welfare, and well-being of the township to a party that you know will likely not be able to do much about it. And that seems very disingenuous, in my opinion.
Okay. Thank you. That's been 3 minutes. Oh, sir, did we get your name and address for the record?
Sorry, it's Ajay Kaist, 20 Haskell Drive. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Okay.
My name is Viorel Negueta from 12 Evans Drive. I'm here with my wife, Diana.
Could you just repeat your name, please?
Viorel, Viorel Negoita. And I understand a lot of us oppose this warehouse project. I'm just curious, is here anybody who supports the warehouse project? Can you raise your hand?
You have to, can you speak?
Is anybody here who supports the warehouse project? Can you please raise your hand?
Sir.
We're here to address the council, not to be making a survey.
Oh.
Address the council and ask your question.
Yes, I would like you to reconsider this project and have a public referendum for this warehouse project. I don't think anybody in the township will support it. Thank you.
I do have additional people on Zoom too, if there's not anyone else in the public.
Anybody else? Do we have anybody? Think we are approaching our 30 minutes, but do we have anybody
Okay, I do have,
online?
2 additional people on Zoom. Okay, you can go ahead. Can you hear me? If you want to unmute, you can go ahead and state your name and address.
Hi, it's me, Niloufar, again from 19 Zilu. I just wanted to point out, we all heard Anthony Varelli, and thank you so much for coming. I wish I was there in person as well. We've all heard the county's clear rejection to what you are proposing in the resolution today. And I just don't understand how there can be any other vote except a no, when you already know the county's position on this. I just wanted to give you that heads up. Like, we're all watching. The entire town is watching. Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I have one other person on here. Okay,
Hi
go
there.
ahead. Please say
Hi,
your name and
thank-
address.
It's Stacy Fox at 29 Berrien Avenue. And I want to remind you all that we, again, won numerous awards for being one of the best places in the entire country to live. And what you guys are doing is you're going to change that forever. Now, I don't suggest that anyone on either board is a bad person. I know you've all done your best. I know you've all given hours of your time. And I know that you probably believe deep down inside that this was a mistake, but you have to go forward. I'm going to say that if you do have an opportunity to reverse course, and I know that other boards have, that you very seriously consider that or go into closed session and discuss it. Because I've heard the mayor say outright that he didn't want to face a lawsuit. And I can tell you there are numerous legal actions brewing. I know that Lawrence Township is very upset and the resistance there is growing. Princeton is finally gotten wind of it and their resistance too is growing. Quaker Bridge Mall, Simon Group. I can tell you that my group of the local residents, we're not the only ones who are preparing some kind of legal action. So since you couldn't avoid that anyway, and you know that there's just no place to absorb all that excess traffic, and you know that this resolution you're talking about tonight is just going to really harm Lawrenceville and Princeton and everywhere else those trucks are supposed to go. I think this is your best opportunity to hit the brakes and reverse course and have a very serious conversation about doing the right thing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I do have one additional person that's just raised their
Okay,
hand.
we'll take one more person.
Okay. Okay, go ahead. Please state your name and address.
Hello, my name is Frank Lavadera from 4 Wynwood Drive in Princeton Junction, New Jersey. And thank you very much to the council and everyone for listening in. I'd just like to listening to Stacy, I didn't intend on speaking tonight, but I think she made some very good points. I think everyone has made some very good points about it not being too late in the process to do irreparable harm to our community. And I ask that you consider the alternatives. I agree with the proposal to try to limit the impact on West Windsor, but I'm concerned that whatever is done it will be too little on this mega project. I know when I drive to exit 8A to the Turnpike and see what's going on in Monroe, the lines of trucks waiting there, it's just, it's very intimidating. And the pollution that's being created, the quality of life in that area is not something that we could certainly absorb in West Windsor. And I again request that you reconsider the alternatives if possible. I am a proponent of progress. I'm not saying that we need to be a farming community any longer, but we do need to look at what that progress means to our quality of life and take that into consideration. What's being done here now will impact that for the indefinite future. So thank you for listening, and I hope that you keep that in mind.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we just mention that that's the last one?
That's the last one. Yep. Okay.
I'm done.
So we have, we have one additional person on.
Can we
Zoom.
just do that as the last one? We take
Okay.
this
We're gonna
last
make this
comment.
the last public comment. Okay, go ahead and state your name and address.
Hi, my name is Alexandra E. Teresa. I live on 31 Arnold Drive in Princeton Junction. I wanted to, I think, speak on behalf of a lot of the parents in the community who are not able to be at this meeting right now. Like myself, I'm here with 2 of my young children. I have another one at Duck Pond. There's a lot of other parents that are there too. And so I just wanted to just mention that you may not see as many faces as you would expect if somebody were to be unhappy about the circumstances, but I think that we've all been in a constant position of not, having to sort of make these choices of whether we're at the senior center trying to fight for our town or to be prioritizing either our work or our children. So for those of us that are not, who are not in support of this enormous project, I just would like to again share that, as someone who has grown up in the community and moved back here with my children and with my family, if there's any way at all to reverse the irreparable damage that would be done over the years, I would ask for all of you to please look inward and to think through that and to remember that we want our kids to have the same landscape and fond memories of this community. And, and I think that if, all of you who are here sitting at the senior center, if you all have had children that have grown up in the community, I feel certain that you wouldn't want them, I would hope that you wouldn't want them to have to deal with sort of this enormous project. So please think about the future of West Windsor beyond just dollars. We will get the dollars somewhere elsewhere. There are, I'm sure, other solutions that can be leveraged. And I just ask you to think about that, and also to think about the surrounding communities and neighbors who clearly have voiced their opinions, and including our county. And I'm sure there's state officials that are also aware that this is probably not the best choice, not for our town, not for our county, not for the state. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we good? Okay. Public comment is now closed. Before we move on to administration comments, can I ask our attorney here to just advise us on the jurisdiction that the town council has on many residents have raised this question about reversing what planning board has approved. Sure. And Mr. Church had a question as well about town council's jurisdiction with the passing of the resolution. So if you could just give us an advice on that.
The resolution is just a resolution in support. It doesn't have a binding nature to it. It's just supporting a look at certain items with regard to the roads and the project. It is not something where the council has any real control over. It's just requesting that it be reviewed and supporting the conditions that were placed in the planning board resolution for approval of the project. Now, remember, the town is split up into several jurisdictions. One is the town council. Another, of course, is the administration of the mayor under the Faulkner Act. But more importantly, the planning board is under a separate jurisdiction than the town council. That is why they have a separate attorney, they have separate professionals and so forth. And it is their job to review these types of development applications. And if they choose to do so, to approve them with certain conditions, as was done here. The application was placed in front of the planning board. There were many nights of hearings, and the proofs were placed on the record, and the planning board chose to approve it based upon the conditions that were placed in the records, but also based upon the law and the requirement that this is a property, it's a privately owned property, and they did have a right to develop it under the land use ordinances that were in place. So that is what is before. That is what has been done. I understand that there may be some litigation with regard to it, and again, the courts will review to make sure that the planning board did their job. So that's where the jurisdiction is there. Of course, there's the zoning board as well, and that's really a board of appeal on zoning determinations, but that's really a separate matter.
Okay. Does anybody have any other further questions with our attorney?
Yeah, I heard a lot of people talk about wanting the town council to overturn what was done, and that cannot be done. It's not legal for town council to do any of that because you don't have jurisdiction.
Right, that was my next question to you, just for the council and for residents to know what town council jurisdiction is in this matter.
You have no jurisdiction.
Okay. Administration comments, Mayor or Marlena, do you have any?
You go first, then
I have general announcements regarding various programs and activities offered by the township. Tomorrow, we're anticipating that Public Works will begin collecting leaves and brush in Zone 2. In light of tomorrow's weather forecast, I would remind residents, if they could, to remove leaves away from drains and storm inlets so that the water can drain. We're expecting a fair amount of rain tomorrow evening. In addition,
Marlena, can you Speak closer to the mic, please.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. And then, I wanted to announce, because this is we have no meeting between now and Thanksgiving, that municipal offices will be closed on Thursday and Friday, November, 24th and 25th. The changes to the trash collection schedule will be as follows. On Thursday, Thanksgiving Day, trash will be collected on Friday, November 25th. And Friday collection of trash will be on Saturday, November 26th. This will be posted on the website. In addition, recycling will be collected on Saturday, November 26th. Please remember to have your recycling at the curb before 6 a.m. And the facility for residents to drop off yard waste and leaves at Public Works will be open Saturday, November 26th from 8 to noon. Those are my announcements.
Thanks, Martina. Mayor?
Thanks. First, little housekeeping before other comments. First, there's a 2020 holiday house decorating contest is again on. That's one of the popular one. The registration deadline is December 2nd, and judging will take place between December 12th and 14th. And winners will be announced on December 19th. So I encourage everybody to take part in it. It's really a good contest and people have done really a wonderful job last 2 years. Before I go to comments, I just want to congratulate Mr. Herbert for getting the Community Service Award from Mount Carmel Guild at their 27th gala for your service to the community. So thank you very much. Now, sir, the answer to your question, that's the easier one. I quickly read that. I'm not detail familiar, but your property is not being taken. It's a temporary easement to put, you have sidewalks already? Okay, then the sidewalks will be installed again, but then it's your responsibility to maintain the sidewalks. But they are going to replace the sanitary main that's underneath the sidewalk, and they need a temporary easement, and then you get 100% of your property back, and the township pays you for using your land for a certain period of time. And there is certain formulas and stuff as to how much they pay you. And you can talk to the township engineer. He will advise you how we arrived at that number. And if you don't like it, you can negotiate with them. But this is temporary. Nobody's going to take any property from you. Yeah.
There are 3 or 4
Eight.
30-year-old trees that will be felled in the process. Will they?
They will replace it. Yes, yes. And you can talk to Dan Dobromaski, who is our landscape architect. He will, they will not plant anything that you don't approve of. So they will consult with you and plant. I mean, they won't go overboard, but they will plant whatever you approve it. And nothing will be done unless you will actually sign a document agreeing to give them permission to do the work before they will start. And yes, yes, and they will tell you. And sometimes these projects, I always half jokingly, half real, whether in India or here, government work sometimes takes longer than you think. So simply because you got letter in August doesn't mean it will happen immediately. And again, I suspect there are more than you involved, other neighbors. So until everybody signs off, they can't start the work. So once everybody signs off, and perfect example is Cranberry Road sidewalk.
Yeah, I was just going to say,
Yes.
we just went through that. It's been
Yes.
going on for 10 years.
Cranberry
Road.
No, it won't take, yours
But
won't take
that
10
is a
years.
different project. It's
Yeah.
to put in sidewalks on Cranberry Road. But I was just going to add to what Mayor said. The easement is to be able to, use your part of your property to possibly like put vehicles or when they're digging the process or removing the stuff, I think the easement is so they are able to use the space around where the actual project has to happen. That's what happened with Cranberry Road as well. So I think it's the same process. Yeah.
So I mean, you can keep talking to Abdul or John. As long as you're not satisfied, you can ask all the questions you want. Yeah. Okay. So now we will come to the main action item of the evening. And I wish Mr. Borelli was here. That's why I requested him to wait. But I know how these things work and he's not here. I've been hearing criticism and comments and shots taken over the last several months. So if I offend anybody, I apologize to begin with. But as Lincoln said, with malice towards none and charity to all. So I will start with the question the gentleman asked. I don't know if he's here or not, as to who supports these projects. If you look in abstraction, if you ask people, do you want a warehouse? Maybe 2% or less people will say, okay, I want a warehouse. Unfortunately, we don't live in that situation. And that's where Mr. Borelli comes in. And unfortunately, he left in spite of me requesting him to wait. The choice on that land is either you put a warehouse or you put housing. We were sued to put 2,000 homes on that property. And given my experience over the last 25 years in the township, if not now in the next round, which starts in 2025, we would have been stuck with 2,000 or even worse, 3,000 homes because the density has gone up since the original proposal was made. So if you ask the questions, if you want housing or warehousing, housing will. Ladies and gentlemen, I listened to you for 45 minutes. It's my turn now, so be respectful. I sat here and I've taken shots for last 4 years, 4 months, 5 months. So it's my turn now. I listen to all you can do thumbs down, thumbs up, handstand, whatever you want to do. That's your freedom. It's a free country. But at least respect the rules and regulations. I quietly listen to all of you. It's my turn now. And then in the second opportunity for public comment, go and take whatever shots you want to take. Okay. When I ran last year, I clearly made a case that I prefer warehouses to housing. There was nothing hidden about it. There was nothing so about. Again, ladies and gentlemen, this is my turn to talk. Please do not interrupt. At least have, Terza, you should have the decorum not to interrupt. This is rules and regulations. This is okay. Okay, so. Okay, whoever is saying that when I take my glasses off, I can't see that far. Okay, whoever is saying, okay. It's my turn. Let me talk. You had your turn. Let me explain. So if you take a choice between housing and warehousing, warehousing will win hands down. It's unfortunate, but that's true. And that's where Mr. Borelli comes in. The Christie did a big disservice by abandoning Coach and handing the affordable housing matter to the courts. Mr. Borelli as an assembly person and Mr. Phil Murphy as the mayor, as the governor, has done absolutely nothing to rescue that situation. Currently, the affordable housing matter is being decided by the court, and whatever the judge says, we are at the mercy of the judge. That's the unfortunate situation. And if Mr. Borelli wants to help, he should bring up that issue and take the matter out of the court, reinstitute Coach, and let Coach decide what obligation each town has for affordable housing obligation. That would solve most of the problem. That's why you see a lot of towns, not just us, prefer warehouses to housing because they know what's coming down the pike next year. That's just the sad reality. And you can pass on that message to Mr. Borelli, because in last 5 years, I have not heard either Murphy or any of the legislators. And I'm going to League of Municipalities next tomorrow. I ask that question every year. Every mayor asks that question every year. And they are not interested in doing it because they know the residents will come and yell at the mayor, yell at the council, because that's the easiest thing to do. The legislators are not reachable. The governor is not reachable. You cannot yell at them, or even if you yell, they don't hear. So it's very easy to beat up on your local guys who have very little or no power. So if you want to solve the problem, and some of you passed a lot of resolutions, it was so disappointing to see that not one resolution mentioned that the governor should take action on affordable housing, which is the basic case, which is the base reason for this problem. Nobody wants to solve that problem. Everybody says, don't let it build that. And then it's your headache, not my headache. Okay, not one resolution asked the governor and the legislator to say that take care of affordable housing, reinstitute coach. Some towns have sued the governor. I hope they win. I hope they win and coach is reinstituted. Half this problem will go away. Okay. That's what. People keep talking about traffic. I've been in this town for last 30 years and I've seen traffic increase, but without any development in West Windsor. Costco came in Lawrenceville. If you assume 50% of traffic comes from this side, 50% of traffic comes from that side, 50% of Costco traffic goes through West Windsor. Okay, at least 30% of those residents are not West Windsor residents. East Windsor residents, Plainsboro residents, whatever other residents, we have dealt with that traffic. Train station, probably 80% of traffic coming to the train station is not from West Windsor. It comes from all surrounding towns. We have dealt with the traffic for many years. Some lady on the Zoom mentioned there was so much traffic on Route 1. Yes, there are thousands of trucks passing on Route 1 from south to north, through West Windsor, through Lawrenceville, with no origin and no destination in West Windsor. Has anyone said, let's not have any truck go on Route 1? Okay, why are you only picking on our town and not addressing the bigger issue that all traffic is increasing everywhere else? And if we don't do anything on that side, we are sitting duck for 3,000 homes. And if 3,000 homes are built there, Clarksville Road will become a parking lot. And all those cars coming to Morrisok, coming to High School South, going to McCaffrey's, Clarksville Road will become a parking lot. You will need more schools. And last time when 2,000 homes were prepared, people say, oh, so many people are opposed. The hearing had to be held at High School South, and 15 times more people came to oppose the warehouse. I have to live in reality. I have to live in real life. I cannot live in fantasy world that, oh, that land will be vacant and somebody will spend money to build a beautiful park there. I cannot live in that. I've taken a pledge, and that means if you don't like me, you don't like me. That's perfectly fine. I will do what I think is in the best interest of West Windsor long term. If somebody solves the affordable housing problem tomorrow, we will have another discussion. We will do something else. But other than that, I cannot expose West Windsor to unlimited affordable housing during next round of affordable housing and leave it to the whim of the judge as to how many housing we need to build. That's just a simple thing. People keep talking about stormwater runoff. At the planning board meeting, some lady came and showed a picture of Route 1 flooded in Lawrenceville. That portion of Route 1 is flooding in Lawrenceville for years to come. Has any one of you gone to Lawrenceville Council and said, take care of your problem? Take care of problem that's flooding in Lawrenceville? Why are you coming to West Windsor and telling us that take care of flooding in Lawrenceville? I'm not a mayor of Lawrenceville. I will take care of my flooding problem. I will do the best I can to prevent water runoff. But the flooding is in Lawrenceville on Route 1, and that has been happening for many years. You should go to Lawrenceville and talk about that. You should go and ask Lawrenceville, what have you done about it? Some other lady said there's so many trucks going on Old Trenton Road. Very true. They are going from a depot in Hamilton to wherever they are going. They're not originating in West Windsor. West Windsor doesn't have any warehouse, but there's still lots of trucks going through West Windsor. And what can West Windsor do about it? Nothing. Have you went to Hamilton and said, hey, close that depot down because all those trucks are traveling down on Old Trenton Road. All those trucks are traveling down Village Road. So many trucks travel down Village Road going to East Windsor and to Route 130. Let's just stop all of them. Let's not just pick on me, pick on everybody. Right? And the amount of misrepresentation done today during public comment is mind-boggling. There are no, one gentleman mentioned there are 80 variances. There's no variance. It's a variance-free application. There are 80 conditions, yes, but most of them are just bookkeeping conditions to make sure that certain things are taken place. Okay, there's no variance. It's a variance-free application, and the settlement agreement said that a variance-free application has to be considered and approved by the planning board. And planning board put every conditions that we thought was to protect West Windsor. It's my job and job of the council is to protect West Windsor and take care of West Windsor. And the most mind-boggling comment is to encourage council to vote against the resolution. As Mr. Herbert said, the resolution is just showing support for whatever the planning board does. What is going to be achieved by voting against the resolution? Are you saying, okay, let the trucks come on Clarksville Road? They are trying their best. The planning board is trying their best, and I'm trying my best to prevent trucks from coming inside the township, Clarksville Road. There's no reason for trucks to come on Clarksville Road. There's Route 1 right there. There's 295 less than 2 miles away. Okay, there's absolutely no reason for trucks to come on Clarksville Road. Trucks can come on Clarksville Road today, and there's absolutely nothing I can do about it. This is at least trying to do something about any truck that will come on Clarksville Road. If trucks come on Clarksville Road, on Village Road, on Old Trenton Road today, neither the council nor I can do anything about it. This is just pointing out to the county. And why is it wrong for the county to take care of its citizens? We are as much citizens of the county as is Hamilton, as is Lawrenceville. Everybody has built warehouses. Lawrenceville has built warehouses. Hamilton has built warehouses. More warehouses are coming. Robbinsville has built warehouses. Okay, why should not county take care about us as equal to everybody else? And the resolution asks that the county take a look at the traffic in general throughout the county. It's not asking them to single out West Windsor or treat West Windsor any favorably than any other town. But it's county's responsibility to manage traffic on county roads. And if they don't want to manage it, they can donate it to West Windsor, give it to West Windsor. But it's nothing wrong in asking county to do their job and don't put trucks where they don't belong. There's plenty of routes for trucks to go out of that warehouse. It's on the border of West Windsor. It's with the border of Hamilton and Lawrenceville. I fully understand majority of trucks will go to Hamilton and Lawrenceville, and they will be inconvenienced, which is very true. It's same way we are inconvenienced with all the trucks going to Costco, all the trucks going to Quaker Ridge Mall, all the trucks going to Lawrenceville Mall, all the trucks traveling on Route 1 from south to north who have nothing to do with West Windsor. Okay, so there's nothing wrong in that. So it's mind-boggling when people come and say, hey, vote down the resolution. Vote it down. Nothing is going to happen. But what you are saying is that, okay, then you don't mind trucks coming. All the resolution is doing is asking the county to take care of West Windsor. And what's so wrong about it? That's their job. Their job is to take care of West Windsor and worry about West Windsor. And that's what it is. So I fully understand people are upset. People don't want warehouses, but I have to deal with choices. I don't have, madam, I have to deal. I have to deal.
Speak right now.
I have to deal with choices, and given the choices I have made the best choice, in my opinion, for the township of West Windsor over the long run. I don't make any apologies for that. If the situations were different, if the cards that were dealt to me were different, I will make a different choice. But the cards dealt to me, this is the best hand I can play. And I believe West Windsor is better off. It will generate $14 million in tax revenue. And it's on the border of West Windsor. And there's absolutely no reason for the truck traffic not to travel on Route 1 or not to travel on 295. That's my comments for today. And I have heard him. And thanks for listening. Thank you.
Sorry, can you?
Ma'am, there is a public section coming up. That is when you can speak. Ma'am, 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 okay, if you can't control yourself, go outside, please. You know, you cannot control yourself right now because you keep speaking. Hold up, ma'am. You have a public section coming up. That's when you can speak. If you want to hang out in a bar and just yell out all the time, then go to a bar. Ma'am, this is a public meeting. It is recorded. Ma'am, please wait to speak out or speak during the public section, please. Thank you. Thank you.
You are inappropriate.
I am not inappropriate.
Rude as hell.
Right, let's move on to council comments. Let's start with Mike.
Well, we had a busy couple of weeks. Want to thank everyone for their patience on election day. As you know, we had new machines. And the machines couldn't read the ballots. And so that required some quick thinking and the use of sliding the ballots into the little slot, and those slots filled up. But we got through it. The county was able to count all the votes. Everybody's vote counted. And so we accomplished what we really wanted to do there. Over the weekend, we had the Mayor's Ball, which was in support of the Historical Society of West Windsor. As you know, they do phenomenal work. We're celebrating the 225th anniversary of our town. And they've got lots of plans for the future. And this raised, I believe, 55.
They're close to 60,000.
Close to $60,000
And
to
there's
support them.
still some counting happening, so I should have the exact number for the next meeting.
And then also we have another situation with the planning board involving Pins Neck. And we had two meetings over the past 2 weeks. The first was with residents of Pins Neck and the mayor to talk about the proposed changes that would be coming if the plan goes through for the intersection of Washington Road and Route 1. And then on Wednesday, we had the meeting of the planning board where the people who are proposing to do this presented their preliminary plans. And I know people are upset that they don't think they had enough input into the whole Bridgepoint 8. For this, we're really trying to make sure that everybody has a chance to see everything when we see it. The people in my neighborhood got to see the plans 2 days after I did. Because we want people to know what's being proposed, what's going to come along. And so I want to thank everyone who participated in that. I see Brad out there, I see some others. And we want to keep that going as we move forward. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Andrea?
And I want to thank Mike for having that pre-meeting, because I think it really did a lot to prepare people for the planning board meeting. So that worked out really nicely. I want to wish everybody a great Thanksgiving. It's hard to believe we're near the end of 2022. And whether you're shopping for your dinner or presents for the December holidays, please try to shop local. Put down the phone, turn off the computer, get out and meet your neighbors and go shopping. A lot's been going on our town. On October 29th, I attended a fire safety demonstration by our fire department after enjoying the Halloween festivities at the farmers market. Then after that, I enjoyed, along with hundreds of kids, trunk or treat put on by the rec department with candy displays by Rec Commission, Police Department, with Canine Blue, Girl Scouts, Fire Department, and many others. Except I think somebody hit my hand when I tried to take a candy and I couldn't look like a 12-year-old, so there. On November, I made that up, I'm sorry. On November 10th, Sonia and I visited from here a new workspace office in West Windsor, and I'll let you talk about that because I always steal everything if we do something together, as well as a public gourmet shop. On November 11th, council and mayor attended several Veterans Day ceremonies, both the World War II ceremonies and the ones over here, which are always very special for me, as I grew up with my World War II veteran father and a number of uncles that served. And of course, November 12th was the Mayor's Ball, was a fun event that raised money for the Historical Society. I want to thank West Windsor Gives Back for another great event. This Tuesday was Election Day. Thank you to everyone who voted and worked at the polls. Thank you to Gay Huber and our West Windsor staff who guided us through what could have been a disaster of an election, but so that we could at least vote. I hope that the county takes some action so that we don't have to go through this type of problems again. Thank you.
Thanks, Andrea. Linda?
Yeah. And also my thanks to the clerk's office, Gay Huber, and all the poll workers who get up very, very early and have a very long day. So we appreciate them doing that service. Thanks to everybody here for your comments and everybody listening in. Appreciate that very much. What I believe is going to happen a little bit later in the meeting is we vote on a lot of resolutions, and I'll suggest that we pull the
Yeah,
one
I'm planning to
resolution,
pull
you
that
know, and do
resolution
that, and then we'll
discuss.
discuss that separately, and then figure out what we're doing with that. So October 29th, I attended the trunk or treat events. The children had a lot of fun. They thoroughly enjoyed it. Beautiful day. Ken Jacobs and the Recreation Commission did a great job. So thanks for all their hard work and another successful annual event. November 5th, I attended the West Windsor Lions Club's 70th anniversary dinner. Township Clerk Gay Huber received an honorary plaque for her outstanding work with the township for the past 34 years. And also as a dedicated, longstanding volunteer as an associate member of the Princeton Junction Volunteer Fire Company and Women's Space. Also honored was Rachna Sharma for her impressive volunteer work. We had the laying of the wreaths at the Dutch Neck World War II Monument, the All Wars Memorial, and the American Legion Centennial Memorial last Friday on Veterans Day. Weather was a little bit, iffy. It was kind of raining a bit there.
It
but
was a good show.
But
though.
we were out there, veterans.
We had a lot of
veterans
people
came,
come.
and we celebrated their service. So thanks to Gay Huber and American Legion Post 76 for organizing the ceremonies. And we are forever grateful to our veterans who serve to protect all the freedoms that we enjoy today. And they are certainly our heroes. Mayor's Ball was last Saturday night, as you heard, and the recipient of the fundraiser was the Historical Society of West Windsor. Thanks to Rachna Sharma and the group West Windsor Gives Back for organizing this event each year. So it's many women involved in that group, and they do a lot of work to make the event go very, very smoothly. So thanks for getting out there and voting, and also happy Thanksgiving to everyone.
Thank you, Linda. I just want to thank everyone for coming and making your comments to us. We are listening. It may not seem like we are listening, but we are. So I'm looking in your eyes and saying we are listening. And we are doing everything we can do in our power as town council. Okay. I just want to remind everyone before I go into my notes that I have, it's getting dark. This is the time of the year I always remind our everyone in the community. It's dark out there. I'm a pedestrian and I'm a bicyclist. My kids run. I have 12 and 13-year-old kids who run on the streets. So I want to remind us pedestrians that we have to make ourselves visible, but also I want to remind our vehicle drivers on the street to please be vigilant. There are people on the road. Last thing we want is something unfortunate to happen. It is, again, reminder to the pedestrians, make yourself visible. Do not wear black and be outside in the dark on the street. Many times I have come across that. And I'm that crazy lady who pulls down my car window and yells at them, please carry a flashlight. I do that. Thank you for doing that. On October 27th, I attended a Diwali celebration at the Drum Packet. Governor's Mansion. I want to thank First Lady Tammy Murphy and Governor Phil Murphy for the invitation. It was a wonderful event attended by many South Asian American electives. And it was a very nice event. It was really wonderful to see many old friends, make new connections, and looking forward to continuing to celebrate together. I also attended November 5th Lions Club 70th year celebration. It was a good event. Lions Club does a lot of good in our community, volunteering for many different ways. And this was their 70th year in West Windsor. So Lions Club is a worldwide organization, but this celebration was for their give back to our community for 70 years in West Windsor. Mayor and council also presented a proclamation to Lions Club during that celebration. They were very thankful for that. November 8th, I think all my fellow colleagues have mentioned already, but I just want to thank all our poll workers, our clerk's office, even with the huge hiccup where the ballots were not being read, unfortunately, but we went through it. I want to thank everybody who went out and voted because it is important. We have to go out and vote if we can. November 10th, Andrea and I visited from here, being there. It's a new business off of Meadow Road in the park development. It's a shared workspace in our community, especially since post-COVID. Many are working from home, and I know I want everybody to get out of the house so I can work. After the visit, I went home and I gave the flyer to my husband. You have a place to go and work. You don't have to work from home. But it is a beautiful space. They have a local, they have a on-site coffee shop. And I tasted their, what's that? Orange passion fruit tea was really good. It was very high in vitamin C. I needed that boost. But it was really nice. November 11th, Veterans Day. I come from a long line of veterans myself, and I can't thank enough for those who serve and the families who let their loved ones serve for the community, for the country. So thank you for everyone who do that. Mayor's Ball, West Windsor Gives Back this year has worked all through the year, working really hard to raise funds for Historical Society of West Windsor, who's celebrating 225th year of West Windsor. They have raised close to 60,000 just from the Mayor's Ball. The rest of the numbers are coming together. I should have the number to report at our next meeting. Lastly, happy Thanksgiving to all. And we can move on to our public hearing, please.
Okay. 2022-20, an ordinance adding chapter 123, public access to municipal facilities of the Township of West Windsor, prohibiting public access to certain municipality-owned, leased, and operated areas or controlled property.
Public hearing is now open for ordinance 2022-20. Does anybody have any comments from the audience? Do we have anybody online?
Do we have anyone online that would like to make a public comment concerning 2022-20? Okay, I do have somebody. Okay, go ahead and state your name and address.
Hello, my name is John Hinsdale. My address is 38 Quaker Road in West Windsor. My comment is that, as with all ordinances, I feel it's appropriate that council make some statement as to why the ordinance is being passed and what is the motivation. I believe council should make such a statement before passing the ordinance.
Okay, thank you.
as some of you know, the municipal offices have been closed for last 3 years or 2.5 years because we are undergoing renovation. We are very close to opening, and probably late January, early February, the offices will open, and this ordinance just stipulates which portions of the new facility people have access to. Unfortunately, given the times we live in old days, we would let anybody wander anywhere they want. Unfortunately, given the times we live in, we have to limit the access to certain areas and restrict where people can go. So that this ordinance just establishes that where public has right to go and where public doesn't have right to go, and how to conduct township business. And it's necessitated because we will be reopening the municipal building within next 2 months or so.
Thank you, Mayor, for that. Anybody else?
Anybody else online that would like to make a comment on this ordinance? Please use the raise your hand feature. Okay, I see none.
Seeing none. Motion to close public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Evers,
Yes.
Mandel,
Yes.
Stevens,
Yes.
Gauss.
Yes. Motion to adopt ordinance 2022-20?
So moved.
Second.
I'd just like to comment, to add on to what the mayor had said. Many of you are familiar with the municipal building and used to be able to go right inside. You could go to, let's say, to your left, and all of the key department heads, secretaries, everybody was there, and it was open. Sometimes people would ask a question at the front desk, but at one point there wasn't even a door. Then we had the door, but then the desktop there was open. Someone could literally really jump over there if they wanted to. And things have changed. And it's unfortunate, but a lot of unfortunate incidents happen. And so we need to protect the staff. So you'll be able to now go in, and I believe it's to the right. You'll be able to do your business. If you're handing in taxes or you have a question about something, you will be able to do that. If you needed to see some plans down in the planning department downstairs, you'll be able, I believe, to do that too, correct? Right. So that hasn't changed. It's just the freedom to just wander around the floor will not be there. Yeah.
Well, just to add to that, with the new construction, the layout of the offices have changed, the departments have changed. So as you mentioned, it's just putting up signs where the public can go and where the public has access, is what this ordinance is about.
Right.
Well, there are areas that council doesn't have access to too, so.
Yeah, we can't just go downstairs and
We can't
open the door to the engineering area.
Just like public, we
Right.
can't just
Yeah.
barge in.
But,
Anyway, roll call, please.
Roll call. Evers,
Yes.
Mandel,
Yes.
Stevens.
Yes.
Gauss.
Yes.
And ordinance 2022-22, Township of West Windsor ordinance authorizing the grant of a permanent utility easement to the county of Mercer located at Block 5, Lot 42, Millstone Road.
Can we just please have a quorum here, please? Thank you. Public hearing for ordinance 2022-22 is now open. Just for the public, there is a large map on the table over there. If anybody is interested to see what we are talking about, this is on Millstone Road. There's a small bridge, and what this ordinance is about is to give an easement to Mercer County to work on that bridge, replace the bridge.
Right. And the county's paying for it.
County's
and-
paying
and
for
They
it.
requested this in order to be able to do it.
Right,
project.
exactly. So, but if anybody is interested to see the map of where the location is, there is a large map on the table over there. Public hearing is now open. If anybody has any comments related to ordinance 2022-22. Anybody online?
I'm going to ask online if anyone has a comment to make on this ordinance, please use the raise your hand feature. Okay, seeing none.
Seeing none. Motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
I need a second. Mike?
Yeah.
Okay, Gevers,
Yes.
Mandel,
Yes.
Stevens.
Yes.
Gauss.
Yes. Motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
Evers,
Yes.
Mandel,
Yes.
Stevens.
Yes.
Gauss.
Yes. Consent agenda.
Okay. Resolution 2022-R237, approving refund for temporary food establishment license. 2022-R238, approving the request for a permit from West Windsor Township for a public fireworks display on December 4th, 2022, with a rain date of December 11th, 2022 at the Ron Rogers Arboretum. 2022-R239, approving the appointment of Chantel Yearwood as the Registrar of Vital Statistics for a term of 3 years to expire on November 1st, 2025. And resolution 2022-R240, authorizing the mayor and clerk to execute an easement modification agreement with 12 Perry Drive. Minutes of September 27th, 2022, business session as amended. September 27th, 2022, closed session. October 11th, 2022, business session as amended. October 11th, 2022, closed session, bills and claims.
Does anybody like to pull anything?
No.
No.
Okay. Motion to approve consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Evers,
Yes.
Mandel,
Yes.
Stevens.
Yes.
Gauss.
Yes. Recommendations from administration and council.
2022-R241, budget transfer for administration and gasoline, 2/3 vote required. 2022-R242, authorizing the business administrator to purchase 1 laptop from CDW government for the health department, $1,777.78. 2022-R243, authorizing the business administrator to purchase Axon CED units for the police division, $21,398.59. 2022-R244, authorizing the business administrator to purchase network cabling for police facility from Network Cabling Incorporated, DBA Network NetQ Multimedia Company, $100,158.99. Resolution 2022-R245, authorizing the business administrator to purchase 1 new Eager Beaver trailer for the Department of Public Works from Cherry Valley Tractor Sales, $37,762.50. 2022-R246, authorizing the business administrator to purchase 2 new Kubota zero-turn mowers for the Department of Public Works from Cherry Valley Tractor Sales, $36,403.38. 2022-R247, authorizing the business administrator to purchase 1 new compact loader and planer for the Department of Public Works from Garden State Bobcat, $113,371.42. 2022-R248, authorizing the mayor and clerk to execute the shared services agreement with the County of Mercer for fire dispatch assistance. Resolution 2022-R249, authorizing the chief financial officer to increase the professional services agreement with Aurora and Associates PC for miscellaneous engineering services by $5,500 for a total not to exceed of $8,500. 2022-R250, authorizing the release of performance bond for street opening permit 2022-07 to Esposito Construction. 2022-R251, authorizing the mayor and clerk to execute an interlocal services agreement with East Windsor Township for animal control services for 2023, $6,000, and 2024, $6,300 plus hourly costs. And resolution 2022-R252, resolution to support traffic safety in West Windsor and Mercer County due to increase in warehouses and truck traffic in central New Jersey.
I want to pull 2022 R252 for further discussion. Does anybody else have anything else to be pulled?
No.
Do we have to pull the first one since it requires a certain number to
Well,
pass?
Yeah,
we can vote
Typically, we vote on those separately.
can we
Yeah.
vote on 2022 R241 separately?
Yeah, you can vote on them in a group as long as everyone is comfortable with the resolution itself. If somebody has reservations on that resolution, please let us know now that, because it is a 2/3 vote. It's up to you.
So if any,
And I don't think we need to.
no, if anyone has reservations.
You don't
I
have any
assume-
reservation regard.
No, it's
against-
just that typically we do pull those and vote on them separately.
So we,
Yeah,
so we,
it's up to you.
do you have any?
don't
let's
think
just
it's
pull it,
possible.
do it quickly.
Okay, can we just vote on it separately and then we'll group the rest? I do want to pull and discuss R252.
Okay.
Yes.
So we do a motion to approve resolution 2022-R241.
I need a
Motion to approve.
motion to
Motion
approve.
to approve that one.
Motion to approve
242.
no, R241.
R241.
Oh, okay, we're just gonna vote on that one now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Second,
To approve.
Who did the first?
Who did the first?
Did Mike do it?
Mike.
yeah, Mike did, I'll second.
Okay, we'll do a roll call on that one.
Yep.
Gevers.
Yes.
Mandel,
Yes,
Stevens.
Yes.
And Gawas.
Yes. Motion to approve R242 through R251.
so moved.
Second.
Okay, roll call. Gevers.
Yes.
Mandel,
Yes,
Stevens,
Yes.
and Gawas.
Yes. Before we take a motion to approve R252, I just wanted to take a few minutes to discuss. We did hear from our residents, many of their concerns.
Do you want to take a motion to discuss with a second?
It opens the floor. Motion with a second, then you can open the floor.
Okay,
To discuss, not.
motion to discuss, not to
Approve or
adopt,
anything.
right? Or is it,
You can just motion second, it's motion to approve for the second.
and then discuss?
You can discuss it and then take the vote.
Okay,
Could we
motion to
just dis-
approve,
Could we discuss it first?
Yeah, that's it, but
but we have to do the motion first.
you're just doing the motion to put it on, by making the motion to put.
I understand that. but-
Okay. All right, I need a motion
I'll move. Motion,
and I need a second.
You can second it, Madam Chair.
We need a second to discuss it.
we need a second to do anything with it.
Yeah,
I want to discuss it. So I'll make the motion.
you want to discuss it or you don't want to
I
discuss it?
Discuss it and if there was support for it,
So I need,
then-
I
then
need
we-
a,
then we
okay,
could
So do you
where we
want to
are.
not do a motion and then just do a discussion instead?
no, but we do need a motion and second for discussion, right?
Usually.
For discussion, it's up to you. A motion can be whatever.
Yeah,
You-
motion
you
for
can-
discussion only.
Motion for discussion.
Motion for discussion.
Motion for discussion, second.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
We have to follow these rules,
Robert's rules.
Robert's rules. We have to follow them.
Robert gets very upset if we don't.
Okay. Linda, you want to start?
Sure. I think earlier, Mr. Church had mentioned about, council's intentions being good. We've kind of discussed this in the past and we're trying to put in some way I guess, protect the residents and get the trucks from going on Clarksville Road, you know. because-
From this,
Right, from the Bridgepoint 8
project.
application. So I think maybe the intentions deep down were good, but over some discussions, I guess for me, certain things are still bothersome and new language got added in that I wasn't comfortable with. So I have served on the planning board 7.5 years on and off, you know, as the council representative from time to time. So I'm familiar with how the planning board works and all. But I do feel that some of the wording that's in this supporting the conditions and all, my preference is that the council should remain independent of the planning board, the planning board's vote. Could be any vote, doesn't matter. In this case, we're talking about the Bridgepoint 8 application. Because they're a land use board, they're separate, they go over all the materials, they have all the materials, they can ask the questions. We're not actively involved in that. I mean, we can read the materials, we have all probably gone to the meetings and that, but it's really the planning board sort of at that point owns it. I'm not trying to get us, you know, into taking a vote on the memorialization. That it's just, if we want to reach out to the county and you know, talk with them or go to any of the public meetings that could be coming up, you know, possibly. I think, you know, that's okay, but the way this resolution reads in supporting the conditions, as far as I know, that the council has never like passed any kind of resolution, I guess in support or not in support of a memorialization of a planning board application. So I don't want to start that precedent. And I understand that we have sometimes differences of opinions, and I've let everybody up here, you know, I'm not, you know, there's no surprise on how I feel on this. So that's kind of where I am with that.
Linda, are you saying you're looking to amend this to remove the reference to the conditions? Because there's one
Well,
paragraph.
yeah, I mean, look, I don't know where everybody, you know, else is. But I mean, that now for there be resolved paragraph where it says, talks about hereby support the conditions imposed by the planning board for PB 2021-15, you know, and on that paragraph, I just felt it's just like that's their decision. They can own it, but I don't feel that I want the council, and this is just my opinion, to be sort of dragged into that too much.
So
I think
so
yeah.
so you want to take, you don't want to reference the conditions, is what you're saying?
The conditions are done by them. And, you know, now that the memorialization has been voted upon by the planning board, the materials would then go on to the Mercer County Planning Office.
Right, well, a lot of these,
And, you know,
yeah, a
so
lot of the
it's going.
conditions, a lot of the conditions is the board seeking to control how the traffic functions on the site and
Yeah.
goes off the site, trying to direct the trucks out to the main roads. Those conditions are separate from, I mean, the county reviews them, but really the county reviews them as to the county roads. And the county would set their own conditions as well. So, because the county planning board, again, is another separate jurisdiction from the township planning board. So all, you know, what this resolution is doing is just saying, we've reviewed the conditions, we agree with the conditions, we support the conditions.
I think the intent of the resolution when I'm reading is to highlight the traffic concerns that we have after the after planning board approved the said Bridgepoint 8 application, this project.
Right.
Right, that's the main concern.
And I think this is kind of beyond that, because we've been getting a number of complaints from people on various roads, you know, and I expect that once that bridge and that whole issue with whether or not a certain weight can go on Clarksville Ridge, that road, that'll probably get a lot worse. And this isn't really just about Bridgestone 8, it's about all those new warehouses that are up, that East Windsor is building right on the border. We've been getting a lot of trucks from there. We've been getting them from the Walmart. People complain, and you will be getting more trucks from these various places. And if we don't build a warehouse, Lawrence has got some spots that they'll probably be building some bigger ones. Anyway, so the point is, we've got a lot of warehouses in this area. I think there's, Robbinsville has something like twice as much as this in terms of warehouse space. So the point for the rest of this is, has the county actually looked at the road system and looked at what's permitted on different county road systems with a view towards protecting residential sections of all the various towns, not just West Windsor, but Hamilton and other places, and that this is something that we think it's probably past time that should be done. Is there a way that they should have some experts look at the entire infrastructure and decide where perhaps at one time certain roads were okay for trucks, and then schools and residences and things were put there. Maybe traffic should be routed in other ways in general. And the Bridgepoint 8 does make it, does make it a little bit more right in our face. But this problem isn't going away even if there was no Bridgepoint 8. So the intent of most of this is to ask for the county to look at essentially the road infrastructure in regards to trucks, whether they come from warehouses or Walmarts or Costco's or whatever, which are partial warehouses. And that's, and then there's a separate section on that that does say that as far as Bridgepoint 8, when the county is looking at this, that the township or the council would like the county not to go ahead and eliminate the protections, which is a possibility, that they might attempt to eliminate some of the protections in our conditions. So there's kind of two things happening here. One of them being, we're looking for an overall study, which I know I've been talking to the mayor a number of times. I'd like to see for our town an overall study that would include our township roads also. And this would be more asking for the county to do an overall study. And we do that kind of request not often, because we don't like to spend a lot of on it, but when there's something important, we do ask for the county or the state to do something that looks at a whole big picture and tries to solve a problem. And that's one thing. And then there is the other piece where I have trouble understanding anybody saying no to these conditions, because if that warehouse does get built, those conditions were put there to protect us. So that I just can't fathom people, if the warehouse is being built, not wanting those conditions, because they were crafted with the idea of protecting us. But the question I think Linda's bringing up, is this something that the council wants to get involved in, because there may be something the planning board does in the future where we might not like it, and would we say no? I'm assuming that's where Linda's thinking is.
Yeah, I mean, I think our intention started very simple a few meetings ago when we initially discussed this. Then we wanted to wait for the resolution, the memorialization to be approved.
Yeah, we did
And then
wait
that
for it
has
so we could
happened,
see the
but
conditions.
now
So
it's morphed into
Before
that.
I know
Yes,
Mike
and I'm
wants
like-
to add something, so Mike.
Yeah, I want to come back to the 252. The problem that I have with the way that it's written is it basically amounts almost to a de facto approval of this body, the governing board, the town council, of the approval for the from the planning board. And I know, speaking for myself, there are parts that I don't agree with. The number 910 comes to mind.
Yep.
So, I'm not comfortable with this basically saying that we agree with everything that has happened, because I don't. And as John so eloquently said, it's not really our purview to step into this. If we want to ask the county to look at various aspects of truck traffic, et cetera, well, then let's do that, but let's not tie it to this. Let's keep it as a separate thing, and let's keep this as this, so that we can continue to discuss what we have in front of us.
No, I agree. I don't want the 910 loading docks or trucks rolling down Clarksville Road or through our residential neighborhoods or schools. But we do have this project in our face now, which
We have
is
no
making
authority.
it more like
We have no authority to say.
we
yes
have
or
no authority to reverse, as
We should-
our
We
attorney
shouldn't make it
advised
look like
us.
we are giving approval.
So what I'm hearing is we are concerned about the truck traffic coming
Yes.
into our town, but we want to do something about it without connecting ourselves to Bridgepoint 8.
Well, yeah.
That's what I'm hearing.
Well, without
I
connecting
don't
ours-
want that.
We don't
myself.
have the authority of the jurisdiction to say yay or nay to what the planning board does.
Agree.
And this is us saying, yes, we approve. And that's not really our role in.
Okay,
Mary,
if we
you had-
take out the part about the conditions, we're basically talking about, excuse me?
Folks, again, you
I-
cannot call out. Please do not call out. Yes, please do not call out. Thank you.
Okay, if we took the part out about the conditions which are specific to Bridgepoint 8, would you want to have the county look at the overall traffic picture in the county, particularly as they pertain to the county roads? Is there anything else in that would be an issue for you?
No, there's nothing that I disagree with about having anyone look at traffic. I think that's one of the most important things that we have in front of us here. But I just don't like making it look like this council is siding with the planning board.
Okay, Mayor, you wanted to add something?
Again, I mean, as Mike said, this is just advisory, whether you pass it or not. I just wanted to get on record the million square feet of warehouses in various towns, since we have approved 2 warehouses so far, totaling 2 will be $5.4 million, 5.4 million square feet of warehouses. East Windsor has so far approved 1.9 million square feet. Hamilton has 6.3 million square feet approved already, either already constructed or being built, which is almost 1 million square feet more than West Windsor. And Robbinsville has 10.13 million square feet of warehouse, which is twice as much as Robbinsville. Everybody is yelling and screaming about this, our warehouse truck traffic going through Hamilton. Some of that 6.3 goes on Old Trenton Road every day. Some of that 6.3 million square feet goes on Village Road every day. I mean, I've been, the day I became mayor, I started getting complaints from Village Road residents, how many trucks travel on Village Road, even before warehouse was anywhere in the picture being built anywhere in West Windsor. So that's happening, whether you like it or not, unless, I mean, how many of you are willing to take a pledge that you will not buy online unless your life depends on it? Let me see hands. Okay, 1, 2 people out of this. 2. So unless you do that, warehouses are going to come. People not only want to buy, but people want to buy it, have a delivery within 1 hour. I mean, that's just the reality. Unless people are willing to change their behavior and say, I will buy only to stores. Hamilton has built more than we have. Nobody knows about it, but that's the truth. Robbinsville has twice as many as we have. Nobody talks about it. Nobody knows about it, but this is a record we got from tax assessor. So this is a record from tax assessor. in various townships. So that's whether you like it or not, warehouses are coming, whether you build it. There was a talk about Quaker Ridge Mall has 2 empty stores, big stores. There was a talk about that may be converted into either housing or warehousing. Sears and Lord and Taylor or one other. There's talk about, so people think that if you don't build it, there will be nothing on Clarksville Road. And that's sadly mistaken. If Quaker Ridge Mall builds a warehouse, that truck comes on Clarksville Road, there's nothing you can do. You can yell at the mayor and you can yell at the council all you want. There's absolutely nothing you can do. This is just trying to be proactive to say that the county needs to look in totality at the whole picture, not just in West Windsor, Hamilton, Lawrenceville, everywhere else, and find out what's best for everyone concerned. And that's what it is. I mean, it's up to the council, it's a council resolution, but passing it is not going to make trucks go away, and not passing it is going to make trucks go away. And not building Bridge Point 8 is going to make trucks go away. Trucks are coming as long as people want to buy online and people want it within 1 hour, trucks are coming. People just say that, oh, I want it 1 hour, but it should come from 2 towns down. That's just the reality. And only two people raise their hands. So that tells you the whole picture. So I mean, whatever you decide to do, it's your meeting, it's your resolution. You can just table it now, and if you table it now, then you can decide what you want to do. Just somebody make a motion to table it, second take a vote, and then you can decide when you want to untable it or whatever you want to do. That's the best way you can do it.
I would rather vote it down and start over.
So I'm suggesting we table it for now. We don't even, we come back with a better resolution for traffic. We do need to figure out traffic. We have to figure out traffic in our town and around town.
I think what we were originally trying to do is that where it says at the bottom of the page, be it further resolved, the county of Mercer review potential truck restrictions on county-owned residential roads, both in West Windsor Township and all Mercer County towns to assure the safety and well-being of all residents, especially in residential and school areas.
We want to do that.
I
well,
thought that was
Okay.
how
Linda,
all of
if
this
that's
came
what we
about.
want to do,
Then
and
take
we
out the
want
other
to,
stuff.
rather than trying to take this to pieces here, why don't we just table it and then go back and write it another way and see if people are happy with it? Because it sounds like you want to pull this out and that out and put this in or that in.
There's parts that need to come out.
Yeah, so I'm saying,
I
do you want to make that decision right now, or do you want to just table this, go and then rewrite it, you know, send it around and then see what we want to do with it? That's
Well, I'm happy with either tabling it or voting it down.
I'm gonna make a motion to table it. You can do if anyone wants to say.
Do you have to have it when you
Don't we
table
still-
a
don't we
certain
have-
specific date that you table it, or you can just go on forever?
Is it one and the
Just to
same,
discuss, right?
tabling it or voting it down? Is it the same?
It's very, yeah, it's. Yes, tabling it just.
I go,
puts it
two
off-
people are talking, one person.
Tabling just puts it off for the next meeting. Or whatever meeting you want to.
We choose to come back to.
Leave it on the table till reorganization.
Okay.
Or you can just pull it from the agenda. Council President, she's allowed to just pull it,
I can pull it from the agenda now?
just take it off,
Or-
and that's it.
The problem is the agenda is now in front of you. You've already made a motion to have it discussed. So I would suggest, just so we do it correctly, that it be a motion table at this point. Because it's already been placed into the record.
But your mic is not working.
Hello?
Oh,
Okay.
there it is.
Okay, I touched
That's
it.
loud.
I'd feel more comfortable rather than an arbitrary pulling it, since it's already on the agenda, as the attorney says,
I don't believe you have the ability to pull it at this point, because we already made a motion for discussion on it, so. The next motion would be either to table, approve, or deny.
Because table, we get to vote on, whereas if you pulled it,
So
you know.
here's my question before we make any motion. Council does want township and county to look at traffic safety in our town and around our town, in county, all around, right?
Yeah.
We,
Yes.
we have a
Restrictions.
consensus on that?
Talk about truck
Restrictions on truck.
restrictions.
Yeah. Do you want to write this right now? We could probably do that too.
So I just want to get a consensus before we decide which way we are going with the
Well, I
motion.
mean, as it stands, the whole thing now, I do not support it. I don't like that now, therefore be resolved about the conditions, so to me,
That's easy to take out.
That's easy to take, no,
Or
but
we
then,
just amend it.
Second, be it further resolved, says the Township of West Windsor urges the County of Mercer to review
Those are
the
still
condition. They are.
but those
getting
are still the conditions. We
It-
can't have
Right,
that
those are still the conditions.
by
But
itself.
also understand is that it automatically goes to the county. It's like, yeah, we urge them to do it. Well, of course, they have to do it at some level, but
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
Madam.
Yeah.
My advice would be to table so we can write it in a way that everyone.
Yeah, I mean, my experience of 20 years in government, when you start messing around at the table, at the end, everybody's unhappy because tomorrow you will think about it and say, this is not what I wanted. The
All
best
right.
thing is to just table it and then you do whatever you want.
I would be glad to assist in the rewriting. but-
Okay,
I'm happy.
I think we want to divorce it from Bridgepoint 8 because we don't want to give our tacit approval.
Okay, so
Okay,
do
I
I make
agree.
a
So
motion to
motion to-
table or how's that?
motion to
Mike?
table, is that Mike?
Mike, do I make a
We do a
motion to
motion to
table? It's fine
table.
at this point before there's a motion to adopt or anything, I can make a motion. Okay, I'm gonna make a motion. Okay, I'm gonna make a motion to table it then.
I'm going to second.
Okay,
And I'll take a roll call vote. Gevers,
Yes,
Mandel,
Yes,
Stevens.
Yes.
And Gauss.
yes. Introduction of ordinances.
Okay, 2022-23 bond ordinance amending bond ordinance number 2021-14 of the Township of West Windsor in the County of Mercer, New Jersey, finally adopted August 9th, 2021, in order to amend the project description of section 3E3 therein. Public hearing is November 28th, 2022.
Motion to introduce.
So moved.
second,
Evers,
yes,
Mandel,
yes,
Stevens,
Yes.
Gauss.
Yes. All right, we now move on to the second opportunity for public comments. Each participant is requested to please give his or her name and address prior to making comments, which will be limited to 3 minutes. Mr. Kuram?
Hi, my name is Karam Wahid, resident of 286 Clarksville Road. So I want to emphasize on the condition which are posted on this Bridgepoint 8 warehouse. So there is a one condition on the Clarksville Road whenever there is a school time zone, this traffic must go at the 35 miles per hour. Nobody is following it this condition. My 5-year-old son, he was about to get an accident at the school time zone. He and with his mom, they were just trying to cross the road at the Clarksville Road. At 12:35 p.m., there is a traffic sergeant across the street, and the car just slammed onto the sidewalk and just stopped like 4 feet away from my 5-year-old son. So that's a condition which is happening right now, and you are just adding up 100 times more than what is the current situation is right now at the Clarksville Road. So if you're happy that like you have just personal conditions on the traffic and then you think that it's going to happen, it's never ever going to happen, because whatever the condition right now at the Clarksville Road, it's at the worst condition. It's on the worst side. Nobody is carrying the traffic during the school time zone. When I reached to the police station, they said like we don't have the enough force to just to look at this the traffic. We don't have the enough police force to do the surveillance during the school time zone. And then you think that you will, whenever all the truck traffic start coming on the Clarksville Road during the school time zone, do we have enough police traffic to control it and monitor it? So you just posted the condition, and do you think it's going to meet it? It's going to happen? Nobody's going to care about the traffic. Traffic is just a one part problem. There are numerous problems going to happen because of the warehouse, and you are just putting it the West Windsor in the worst ever condition. It's going to cost our family life. It's going to cost our valuable asset, like which we have put it in now in terms of the residential. It's going to cost everything, but you don't care about everything. You just care about the business, whatever you have to think about it. And Ms. Mendel just keeps saying that we have posted enough condition. How you can post, emphasize and force it, all the conditions is going to meet it, especially on the traffic side.
Do we have anybody else? Mr. Church?
Yeah, John Church again, 11 Princeton Place. Yes, I think it was a good idea to table this resolution and maybe introduce a new one. Certainly everyone agrees that we want to restrict truck traffic as much as possible, but let's keep that separate from any comments whatsoever regarding what the planning board does. It's just not council's business to comment on what the planning board does. It's not the planning board's business to comment on what council does or what the zoning board does. These are three separate things, and you should not mix one with the other. So I think you did the right thing this evening in doing that. I just want to make a couple of other remarks. Now, I completely agree with what the mayor said, the criticizing the governor and the legislature for not acting on affordable housing. That's been a sore point with this town for a long time. And so it got turned over to the courts, and the courts did what they wanted to do. In effect, they took away the power to zone, which is in the municipal land use law. Municipalities have the power to zone, and the court has said that in this case and other cases, they do not have the power to zone. So to me, that's, I don't know, that's a very questionable action. Really, the governor and the legislature should act on the affordable housing question. That's so important. They've got to figure that out. But anyway, thank you for tabling this resolution, and hopefully you can, a better one and more specific one can be written without any reference whatsoever to what the planning board did. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Church. Do we have anybody else?
Good evening, Terza Warman. I refer everyone to Judge Jacobson's decision back in 2018, imposing an affordable housing obligation on the township of 1,500 new affordable housing units. I want to suggest, with all due respect, that the supposed trade-off of 2,000 homes on this site versus the 7 warehouses is a false trade-off. Affordable housing is being built right now. Yes. And affordable housing is the law of our state.
Ms. Warman, can we please
it's
address the
yes,
council?
sorry, it's the law of our state. There's a decision called Mount Laurel. It even predates when I went to law school. I didn't go to law school in the state, but I remember learning about it. And Philip Murphy had nothing to do with the Mount Laurel decision. He was probably 20 years old when it became law. So just so we're clear, it's the law of the state. And no, not every town in our state is saying we don't want to build housing, so we're going to build warehouses. That is something that West Windsor chose, that this town council voted on back in December 2020. And what I am suggesting, I know that you all want to do the right thing, is that you have the means to relook at what the planning board did in light of these new developments. I mentioned the State Planning Commission guidance, which is now out. I also want to throw in the inland flood protection rules that are going to be posted on the DEP website on December 5. Everyone should be looking for them when they're posted and put comments on. They are expected to be adopted by the DEP in April of 2023. which really is right around the corner. And what that means is if this BP8, Bridgepoint 8 project goes forward, and if all approvals come in before April 2023, it will literally be the last large warehouse project that is approved under outdated flood maps. Outdated flood maps. Do we really want that? We all live in this town. We've all experienced, the scare and the trauma of flood risk. No, let us step back and take a break. And I know I'm probably out of time, but remember, because I was at all these hearings, Carl Penke, the Langen engineer, May 25 Planning Board hearing. The original traffic study that we submitted to your professionals actually considered the restrictions that exist on Clarksville Road. In parentheses, Amtrak Bridge having weight restrictions. It was subsequently revised at the request of the county people when they advised us the restrictions being removed, and we had to consider that there is a travel route there. So what they are referring to is the Amtrak Bridge that is currently going to bid and will be replaced. Once it is replaced, in my opinion, the county will have no authority to continue to impose weight restrictions on it. And that was the substance of what Carl Penke was talking about. So we are looking to you, the town council, to say, wait a minute, we think our planning board made a big mistake here. And in fact, the county will not have the ability on an improved route with a new bridge to tell the now 9,570.
All right, Ms.
additional
Warman, I think you
trucks
have
that they
reached your
can't
time.
come up and down Clarksville Road. This is what we're talking about tonight.
Thank you.
Madam Councilwoman, if I could just address something.
Sure.
This statement is being made over again. It's a false statement. The planning board approved the warehouses. The resolution was then passed by the planning board. There's a 45-day period to appeal that decision once the resolution is published. I believe maybe there is some litigation going on out there with regard to it. The town council has no, and may I repeat this over and over again, I've done it a couple times now, has no ability to overturn what the planning board has done. I can't make it any clearer. There is nothing in the law that allows the town council to overturn what the planning board has done. So whenever you get up here and you make that speech, you're not telling the truth. Thank you.
I mean, a lot of, as I said, throughout this process, a lot of misrepresentations and half truths and not truths. have
Mayor,
been
can
done.
we
Can
we just finish the public comments before you want to go on? Thank you. Sir?
My name is Chan Yu. I live in 349 Clarksville Road. I live in this house more than 10 years now. I moved to West Windsor 12 years ago and living in this house since then. My house is across the high school south on Clarksville Road. I can see, I'm working from home. I can see trucks, container trucks away, just right in front of my house, okay, passing by every day. So I didn't see any police, okay, to give them a ticket because, okay, they are not supposed to go on Clarksville Road. But I'm saying tonight I saw people discussing about this Bridgepoint warehouse project. I find it really funny. At this point, we're only talking about truck traffic. The project is already approved by the planning board. But I thought they already, okay, look at the traffic things. Why we discuss about the traffic right now? That means, okay, that tells me at the time they do the approval, they never really look at the traffic, okay, the problem. They never care about that. For them who support this project, it seems to me, oh, because other township doing it. Why not us? Okay, let the traffic come in. Okay, I don't care. Our neighbor township already doing it. They bring in all kind of traffic, truck traffic already. Why not us? West Windsor. That's so funny. Why we living in this township? We're supposed to be when I moved here, I thought this is a nice, quiet, suburban township. That's why I moved here. And I love the train station because the train station will take me to the city for a good movie, for a good meal. Then I can come back, okay, with the express train. And this is the township that I like. I don't want to see like 7 giant warehouses, right? Just maybe 2 miles from my home. And if we ever really approve a final bill, I would like to advise, okay, to put a regulation on the rental. Only rent it to people doing data warehousing. We don't need the retail warehouse. We don't need the merchandise warehouse. We need data warehouse. Data warehouse, okay? We don't see trucks. We only see computer equipment inside the warehouse. That's it. So we just make a guideline. We only need IT, high-tech, okay, project or data warehouse in those warehouses. That's it. Okay, I don't want to see trucks around our township. Thank you.
Ajay Kais, 20 Haskell Drive. So I have a few comments. This is an argument about we already have so many trucks and all the statistics about additional warehouses in towns around us, which may be valid. Why are we adding to the traffic? Why are we adding to the warehouses? Why are we adding them in our town? That's my question to you. It doesn't make sense if we are complaining about traffic from Hamilton and Robbinsville, which I assume you've done a study about coming through a town, why we want to add more traffic, which we haven't done a study about, because all I hear about is Clarksville parking lot, but not Village parking lot, or not any of the other roads parking lot, Washington, Old Trenton, et cetera, et cetera. We haven't done a proper traffic study before approving this. So why add to the traffic with more warehouses in our town if the problem is already traffic according to you? That is one point. This is the largest warehouse in New Jersey, by the way, which 5.5 million square foot, which will add a lot more traffic. Secondly, one comment that you made, Mr. Mayor, did not sit well with me. You keep talking about this warehouse on the border of West Windsor. That to me reeks of NIMBY, which I assume you know stands for not in my backyard. And that is not fair to the residents, many residents who live closer to what you call the border of West Windsor. I wouldn't want my township elected officials thinking, okay, it's in one part of town, not affecting many of us or me. So therefore, it's okay, it's the border. That did not sit right with me. There are thousands of homes off Village Road. There are 2 schools off Village Road. It's very important to keep that in mind. The last part, this settlement and this continuous fear that you project on people of the cost of homes versus warehousing. I want to bring that up. I want to bring that up because as far as I recall, the settlement that you agreed on did not have housing included in it. It did not. It had 40 other users, but not housing. If that's the case, why bring it up as a fear here? You talk about the fear of housing making Clarksville Road and other roads a parking lot. What about the parking lot with the trucks? We talked about the amount of traffic. No studies have been done to show how they might impact us. You talked about the fear of a lawsuit, right? If it does come to housing or if we do reject it. What about the residents' fears of the health impact of the noxious pollution of the trucks to our safety, our health, the accidents? What about the fear of the residents of the environmental and flooding that might occur due to this massive blacktop and warehousing? What about the fear of increased risk of fatalities? What about the cost of our degraded quality of lives? What about the cost of our property values? The 14 million number is a one-sided number because all you keep saying is the pros of the warehouses. but not the cons of the warehouses or not the pros of the housing. We haven't seen a comparative study listing the pros and cons fairly and transparently of the options in place. And it is your job as our elected officials to find a better solution for us, one that works. This is not a binary choice, warehousing or housing. It is your decision to take care of us, not because of Hamilton and the other towns that might be building warehouses. So this is not a race to the bottom. And that is what this is becoming out to be from your tone. It also sounds very rich from the members here who are on the planning board who voted for the resolution yes to talk about the traffic impact. Because if it really bothered you, then what would you have done at that vote on June 29th? My guess is you would have voted no. So I think that you should address the concerns of the people who live here, and maybe it's not too late. Figure out a way to work with the planning board, use your influence to leave this town a better place than when you came here. I've lived here 27 years, Mr. Mayor and folks, and I've seen changes and we've weathered them well. This change seems to be such a drastic decision that's going to negatively impact this town and its neighbors in so many ways. I request you to reconsider this choice that you've made. Thank you.
Do we have anybody else?
Hi, Gabriella Mulcan, 16 Galston Drive, Kingston Junction. I think first of all, this is the first time that I took the microphone since I've been coming to the meetings. I need an apology from him because I don't think that type of language from an elected official should be allowed here. That's one. I'm still waiting for the mayor to answer those two questions that I had. And I hope you are able to address that by the end of this meeting. And I have to agree with everyone else. Most of you here, you were the ones who approved the project. So it's kind of interesting that now we are tabling this and we knew the full impact of what this is going to do for the township. So let's just think about that for a second. And, you know, this fear about housing as opposed to warehouses, it's really not that valid. You could have had warehouses, you could have had your way, but not at this size, right? And I don't think this size is appropriate for our township, right? Having a 6 million square feet of warehouses, do you think that's appropriate? So that's going to change the township in a really big way. So no surprise that people are angry about what happened, and you should all take the responsibility. And we have to figure it out together. And I think having input from the public, it's a really good idea, because these decisions are not made just by you. You should have input from everyone else. And I also don't agree with the fact that we have to wait until the end of the meeting, 10 o'clock, to be able to speak. Most of us have families and little kids, and it's very difficult to make it to the meeting. But we are making an effort because we're interested in how this town is going to look like in 30 years from now. I just moved here. I'm not planning to move somewhere else. I love it. Love my neighbors. I love everything about it. I can't say I like the mayor, but that's on a personal level. But what I'm saying to you guys, you need to take the responsibility and listen to what people are saying, and we have to figure things out. This has been a decision that you made. I don't think you understood the impact of what's going to do, but now we have to figure out how do we fix it. And, you know, he's really good at, you know, knowing all the details of the legal stuff, which is great. I appreciate you, you know, if there's misinformation, you can just tone it down, but manners are kind of lacking. But I just appreciate at least that you guys are now reconsidering and thinking twice about a decision of this magnitude. And thank you so much.
Do we have anybody else here? Do we have anybody online?
I do have people online, so I'm going to go in the order that I see hands raised. Okay, go ahead and state your name and address.
Hi there, I'm Stacy Fox from 29 Berrien. And I could debunk a lot of what the mayor said a million ways, but I'm going to ask my question first. It seems to me that the initial part of this that started the snowball downhill was when the town council added warehouses to the ordinance, if I'm not mistaken, at the request of the planning board. And I'm sure you did not foresee the magnitude of it at the time when you added it to the ordinance. So in looking forward to what you might be able to do to remedy this mammoth error in judgment on the part of the planning board, I wonder if you can accept the inland flood rule, adopt it in December when it comes out. Since this is a body that does legislate, can you adopt it and then state that there will be no grandfather clauses? And all that would do is force them to go back to the drawing board and recalculate their stormwater runoff management. One of the things the mayor said was about my picture of flooded out Route 1. And yes, it's Lawrenceville, but Lawrenceville borders West Windsor and Princeton, right where this project is happening. And if they flood, why should we create a bigger flood hazard and ask them to clean it up? It's their problem, but we're causing it, and we're not giving them any tax revenues to help. So that's a real problem. Now, what Chun had said about data centers, it is a good idea. And maybe had you guys had, and I say you guys, including the planning board, all of our leaders, a town hall to talk to the residents to come up with an idea like a data center. There wouldn't be 8 lanes of Quaker Bridge, 8 lanes of Clarksville. There wouldn't be a million trucks or flood issues because you wouldn't have to pave a huge parking lot because there aren't employees in data centers. Problem with warehousing, which debunks the argument about the affordable housing rule, is that you create jobs in town, you're going to create an increase in our affordable housing obligation. So you're just going to postpone the affordable housing allotment that's going to come and hit us after you create those jobs. So that's not a good solution. It never was a good solution. And those other towns that you say are sprouting warehouses, it's true, they are, but they're doing it near major highways. They have quick access to 130 and the turnpike. They are not driving by an elementary school and a high school with teenage drivers who have to figure out how to get out of the school and onto a road that's got back to back to back long trucks. Like, that's terrifying for a parent and a student. And we've done the math. They're going to be backed up for miles. And once that bridge is fixed, that's 4 lanes. But Clarksville in front of the schools is only 2. So what's going to happen with that? Is that just going to be a bottleneck on both sides of that bridge? Where's the widening going to take place? Like, the whole thing, if you look at it, the deal is so bad, it's likely to kill itself. So I think you should be looking to the future and get ready for that town meeting, because you're going to need ideas for a plan B, because this thing's going to die.
It's time.
Okay, we're going to go to the next person online. Okay, go ahead and state your name and address.
Hi, my name is Alexandra E. Teresa, 31 Arnold Drive, Princeton Junction, New Jersey, 08550. There are a couple of things that I wanted to bring up. First, and I hesitate saying this, but I just want to mention it because I noticed that there have been a couple of meetings where I've attended where the mayor has responded to some of the responses, and some have not been kind, and I agree with him on that. But it almost feels like, from my perspective, that there's like a stubbornness and of not wanting to look on a different side because of the tone of the anger that some of the residents have had. And I know that you've done really great work throughout the years. This is something that a lot of us disagree with your choice. And again, if there is any power that you may have to help remediate or to make the situation better, it will be welcomed, and I'll be there to help you make it better if you can. That's first. The second is I just wanted to clarify something. I actually used to live in Robbinsville. I owned a home there before living here in West Windsor, and I lived there for 5 years. And one of my children actually went to the elementary school there. And I am aware that they have a ton of warehouses, and where the residents live, they're not affected by the warehouses at all. There are no trucks passing in front of the Sharon School. There's no trucks passing in front of the middle school, the Pond Middle School. There are no trucks passing in front of the Robbinsville High School. And so they are placed in an area where the trucks can easily get on and off the highway, and the residents, I never in 5 years ever felt an impact of those warehouses, not even with me going onto onto Route 130. So I just want to make it clear that as we're talking about other towns, we need to deal with the situation that we have in front of us instead of comparing ourselves to the other towns, because not everybody has that full picture that we will feel the impact of those trucks, but in Robbinsville, they didn't feel the impact of those trucks. So that's the last thing I'd like to say is to the town council members that maybe voted yes for warehouses and maybe did not realize the enormity of the project. I would ask you to continue to fight the good fight and to try to make amends and to make this right on behalf of the constituents who voted for you, and to not only use your voice and use the power that you have here within our town, but to use your voices with the state representatives or to the commissioner of the Department of Transportation, and you can share that maybe that you've made a mistake voting yes. And so I just wanted to make sure that, it doesn't stop here if you don't want it to. We all have voices, and I would just ask if you could please use them to protect our town and to protect our children. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next person I'm going to unmute. Okay, please state your name and address.
Hello, my name is John Hinsdale. I'm at 38 Quaker Road in West Windsor. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you perfectly.
Thank you. The mayor said a couple things earlier that I completely agree with. The first is that Assemblyman Anthony Varelli hasn't done much to help us as far as the warehouses. That is absolutely true. Varelli is useless here, as are county officials, such as Brian Hughes. If you're a resident waiting for the state or the county, or Varelli or Hughes to ride in to save you from the warehouses, you're a chump. No one is coming to save you. You must act yourself. The second thing the mayor said was that he was very upfront a year ago during the election that he was in favor of the warehouses. That is very true. He was very clear about that. He did lie about the $15 million revenue. He pulled that number out of his rear end. But he was very honest about being in favor of these warehouses. So if West Windsor residents are looking for someone to blame for the warehouses, they brought it all on themselves. If West Windsor residents were stupid enough to elect Hemant Marathe as mayor, then they alone are to blame for the harm he visits on the town. Let me make clear, I am not in this group and have never and would never vote for Hemant Marathe and his running mates. There are exactly two things residents can do to stop the warehouses. The first is to help and join up with anyone challenging them in court with lawsuits. The second is next year, when Mandel, Gauss, and Stevens come up for re-election to council, do not re-elect them. Do not vote for them. These three are the people who screwed you over 2 years ago when the base approvals for 5.5 million square feet of warehousing were given away. These people are not on your side. They are not your friends. Do not re-elect them.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Hinsdale. And we're going to move on to the next person online. Okay, go ahead and please state your name and address.
Hi there, Daniel Weiss, 15 Canoe Brook Drive in West Windsor. First, I'd like to thank the council for tabling or not voting for this resolution. I would have preferred them to vote it down because tabling just means that you might bring it up again. It was clear from the directions that you heard from the attorney that the council shouldn't be engaging in decisions that the planning board made by supporting them or not supporting them, and that's really completely inappropriate. So the discussion about the real reason for this resolution is to stop the truck traffic and to have the county, do more investigation of that was a little disingenuous, because if you truly felt that way, why didn't you make this resolution a month ago or 3 months ago or a year ago? Why did you choose now and obviously tied into the existing warehouse development that that the original resolution supported, which is inappropriate. I would also like to thank the attorney who is off camera, so I only just see his voice, can't actually see his face, for pointing out, sort of some of the fallacies are being stated. I would hope that he would also point out the fallacies that the mayor is stating during the commentary during these council meetings. The mayor said that there's only two choices, either warehouses or housing. That is a flat out lie. That is a false statement willfully stated as a scare tactic. This area is not zoned for housing, and West Windsor has already met their obligation for affordable housing. And there are dozens of other options, as stated in material presented by the council, or other options. One was just discussed as a data center option, but there's many options to build on this site. It's not an either or. And I would respectfully ask that the mayor stop making false statements and that our attorney correct those false statements, and that if he continues to make those false statements, that our council censure him. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on to the next person online. Okay, go ahead and please state your name and address.
My name is Miren Libano Albert, 3 Trumbull Court. When the mayor says the warehouses will be in the margins of town, does that mean that the residents who live along those margins and will be feeling the worst effects of the warehouses, does that mean that those thousands of residents are marginal residents? And then who are the residents that are not marginal? Thank you.
Is anyone else online that would like to speak? Please raise your hand. Oh, I see someone else. Okay, is there anyone else online that would like to speak? Okay, seeing none.
All right, seeing none, public comments is now closed. Mayor?
Can we take a 3-minute
¿Te
break?
pareció bien el comentario?
All right.
¿Te pareció bien el comentario que le hice?
What?
I said, I need a
Que
3-minute
tiene
break
some-
and I can't walk.
Ah,
People are
okay.
talking.
Él ha dicho hoy de nuevo
We're done with
que
We can-
va a estar en los
Can we take a
margins.
recess for 3 minutes, please?
Okay.
Hello.
I'm gonna disconnect.
Hi, just a heads up, there are
Le dije que quienes no son los
No, they don't. But the woman said they could do that. I'm glad you were coming down to get in. I think it's cold. Oh, which gym do you go to? Yeah. I was here, I used to go there years ago. It's nice. I'm a Hamilton Y guy. I went there with Paul. No, it's a pretty low brow crowd.
Yeah.
I actually haven't been there in a long time either. Just, when the pandemic hit, I got a Peloton. That's what I've been. That 21st meeting. Want to be entertained. Well, the main problem is all I couldn't have done inside. I don't think election director guy probably could have done more, probably didn't do enough, but in the end, it's gotta be. Well,
All right, we are back in session.
Okay.
Can we please get back in session? All right, Mayor, you want to try to answer some questions?
Yeah, I mean,
So,
I feel like that movie Groundhog Day. I mean, same people are making the same argument. I'm making the same argument over and over again. Thank you, Mr. Hinsdale, for saying that I clearly stated my position during the election. I am always believed that whatever I believe in, and whether you like it or not, I am who I am. I just want to correct a few things that were incorrectly stated. Mount Laurel did establish affordable housing law. That is correct. But the state over the years had appointed a body called Council on Affordable Housing.
COA, yes, COA, right?
And
COA.
No, Council on Affordable Housing.
Yeah.
They were responsible for deciding what each township's affordable housing responsibility was. Unfortunately, Governor Christie didn't appoint anybody to that coach, so never received enough quorum and could never meet. In spite of repeated warnings from the court to reinstitute coach, Christie ignored that. And so the court took the matter over. And don't fool yourself, as Mr. Church said, the court has taken over and they can force you to rezone any property for housing. There's no zoning left to the township. If the courts decide you need to come up with 2,000 homes, you need to find a land where you can build 2,000 homes. If not, the court will find for you and court will rezone the land and you don't have a choice. That's the reality that we live in New Jersey. Somebody, the last speaker, said that those are not only the two choices. In real life, those are the only two choices. In fantasy life, there are many choices. In fantasy life, you can build a park there. Somebody will come and build a park there, keep it open, beautiful for you, and not happen anywhere. In real life, there are only two choices, either housing or warehousing. And sadly, given the state where it is, and in spite of repeated requests from every mayor, Democrat, Republican, tall, short, fat, thin, black, white, green, yellow, Asian, Governor Murphy, nor the legislative have shown any inclination to reinstitute coach because they know they don't have to make hard decisions. The council and the mayor has to make hard decisions, and the people will go and yell at the council and the mayor, Just go and Google and see how many times the word affordable housing was mentioned by either Murphy, Assembly Speaker, or Senate President. And you will find that they have not spoken the word. They don't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole. They would rather let the court deal with it, and whatever mess happens, it's the mayor's responsibility and the council's responsibility. So let's not fool ourselves that we have many, many choices until the situation changes. And I hope the lawsuit against Murphy is successful and he is forced to reinstitute coach. And again, this constant talk about trucks going on Clarksville, there's absolutely no reason for trucks to go on Clarksville. There's Route 1 right there, 295 is less than 2 miles. And it is on border of West Windsor. I mean, that's just geographical description of the property. You go on the other side of Quaker Bridge Road, it's Lawrenceville. That's just the fact. I mean, I'm not stating anything inappropriate. And you go 2 miles on Route 1, it's 295. And 295, last time I checked, is a bigger highway than 130, on which Robbinsville all warehouses are restricted. So it is what it is. I have to live on in real life. I will again state that I made the best decisions based on the cards I have dealt. If there are different cards that are dealt with to me, I'll make different decisions. But based on the cards I have dealt, that's the best decision in the long term for West Windsor. And we will just have the same 10 people saying the same 10 things, and I'll repeat the same thing again and again. So it's just like a Groundhog Day. And that's it for tonight. We have a early morning tomorrow morning, so that's it.
Council reports. Linda?
The Parking Authority met on November 9th. The authority has put out RFPs for landscape maintenance and custodial services. The bids are expected to be open on November 22nd. The authority continues to search for a professional who can advise them on investments, for example, which banks have the highest rates for 90-day certificates of deposit. There are some platform stairs on the westbound side by the tunnel that are getting replaced. The fountains in front of the station will be taken out for the winter, which will help in the efforts to clean up the sediment issues. Grates will be added around the fountains in the spring to block as much sediment as possible. October income is up over budget. Station maintenance is slightly over budget due to work on the waiting rooms, the pond, and the platform. It was a light month for police activity at the train station. One disorderly person was taken to the hospital and another person was assisted for chest pains. The WWP Board of Education met on November 1st. The district needs to get the pool permits approved for High School South. I don't know if anybody knows whether that came through or not, but they're very concerned about that. So this is a top priority for the school district to get those permits approved so that the swim team and diving team can practice and compete competitively. Whatever issues need to be resolved, I hope they get resolved, or if they have been resolved, thank you very much for helping out there. There's been a decline in COVID-19 cases, but a big uptick in flu cases with the students. There was a presentation on a district testing report. No surprise, the district testing scores in language arts, math, and science are well above state averages. There was also a presentation of the 2023-2024 program of studies. That would be for the high school students. There will be 3 new courses in dance, theater arts, and music technology.
Thank you, Linda. Andrea?
Planning Board. Everyone's favorite. The Planning Board met on 10/26/22 and held a public hearing on the community facilities element of the master plan. The new element was voted on and passed. So we now have a new community facilities element. The Planning Board also met on 11/2/22 to review the resolution of memorialization for PB 21-15 Bridgepoint, which originally had been approved on June 29th, 2022. This resolution summarized what was previously approved during that meeting and includes background waivers and conditions, and corrections were made to that and the resolution was approved. The planning board again met on 11/9/22. That's 3 meetings since we met last, to hold a work session on PB 20-08 Penns Neck Plaza concept plan. The applicant presented the plan and comment was then given to the public after planning board member questions. Residents, particularly those close to the proposed development, had many suggestions. I wish to thank them for their well thought out comments and suggestions, and in particular for their hard work polling the neighborhood on some design points so that the board had a clear idea of their preferences. Another concept plan presentation is planned for next year, which will hopefully incorporate comment. The next planning board meeting is scheduled for December 14th. Thanks.
Thank you, Andrea. Sorry, I was listening, but I'm trying to figure out what that noise is. There's a noise coming in the back here. So it wasn't that I wasn't listening. I was trying to figure out what's making noise behind.
I wasn't watching, so I won't be insulted.
Mike?
Okay, since we last met as a council, both the Shade Tree Commission and the Environmental Commission have met. The Shade Tree folks approved the report that they gave to council at the last meeting with a few minor changes and additions. Those are now up on the website, on the township's website. The Environmental Commission met, as you may have heard, we did receive the Silver Award from Sustainable Jersey. This is an award that rewards the actions of people throughout the community over a 3-year period in protecting and expanding the environment. We've had the Silver Award since 2011, and so it was great to get it again this year. They're also instituting a couple of initiatives. One deals with our favorite pest, the spotted lanternfly, and ways to get rid of them. Now that the fall is here, we're moving into winter. When you see on a tree something that looks like somebody put some concrete on it, about that big, get that off of there. Stomp on it, because those are the egg masses for next spring. And so I want to make sure that everybody is aware of that. We also have an initiative that's going to be taking place looking at the invasive vines that we have that are killing a number of trees in West Windsor, in the Arboretum, in the county community park, and elsewhere. And so those folks are being quite busy. So that's my report.
Thank you, Mike. Affordable Housing Committee has not met, so I don't have anything to report on that front. I do want to thank everyone for staying back. I know it's past 10 o'clock. It's past bedtime, like my mom would say. It's 10 o'clock, come back home. Not happening tonight. I do have, Martin is not here today due to personal reasons, but I do have report from him. So just bear with me. I received the report like literally minutes before we came here to the meeting. I'm just going to try to read. The Community Day, Peace Day was very well attended in September. Martin Luther King Day is being planned for January 16th of 2023 by Human Relations Council. So put that on your calendars. Recreation Commission is planning I think Mayor already mentioned about this, the holiday light decoration contest. That information has gone out. West Windsor tree lighting ceremony will be held on Saturday, December 4th at 7 p.m. The dad-daughter dance will be held on February 24th at Mercer Oaks Country Club. Community park basketball courts are currently being worked on. 2 full cricket pitches have been installed at Conover Park, and renovations are being done at Hendrickson Tennis Courts. So those are the reports from Martin for Human Relations Council and Recreation Committee. Do we have any additional administration updates?
Nothing.
Okay. We do need to go into closed session. So motion to go into closed session.
So moved.
Second. Okay, whereas NJSA 10:4-12 allows for a public body to go into closed session during a public meeting. And whereas the Township Council of West Windsor Township has deemed it necessary to go into closed session to discuss certain matters which are exempted from the public. And whereas the regular meeting of this Township Council will reconvene. And whereas the below stated subject
you,
matter,
everyone.
which shall be made available at such time as the issues discussed therein are resolved. And its disclosure would not subvert any particular exemption for convening a closed session. Now therefore be it resolved that the Township Council of the Township of West Windsor will go into closed session for the following reasons as outlined in NJSA 10:4-12 for the discussion of contract negotiations and litigation updates.
Thank you, Allison. Thank you, Mr. Church.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming out. Thank you, John.
See you, John. Good night, Mr. Church.
Hmm?